the best place to work.
I love working here.
I feel very blessed.
I love it here.
I look forward to coming to work every day, being a part of this team.
Like a family away from home.
Where everyone feels like everybody knows their name.
A city that supports you. We see that with our benefits.
A pension, vacation days, job security.
Being able to be heard.
We feel valued. We feel respected.
Lee Summit is a very progressive city.
It's growing, it's thriving.
We have this drive towards not just doing a job, but doing it with a spirit of excellence.
I had the opportunity to continue to grow, regardless of 30 plus years doing this kind of work.
It's more than just dollars and cents.
We're here really to give back.
Providing a service to better a community.
To go out and serve people.
To be a part of something bigger than yourself. If I would have known what I know now, years ago, I would have been here much sooner.
Hello Lee Summit, I'm Jordan. Here's your flash briefing for the week of February 23rd. Are you trained in hands-only CPR? The Lee Summit Fire Department has launched PulsePoint Respond, a free 911 connected mobile app that alerts citizens trained in hands-only CPR when CPR is needed nearby in a public location. CPR can be started in the critical minutes before emergency services arrive. Learn more at cityofls.net/PulsePoint. Interested in tickets to the Lee Summit Parks and Recreation February Father-Daughter Dances? There are still spots available for this Friday, February 27th. Don't wait to register. Get your tickets at lsparks.net. City Council will meet for a regular session Tuesday night at 6 in Council Chambers and City Hall. Meetings are open to the public or watch live on the city's YouTube channel. If you can't watch, catch the recorded meeting on demand on the YouTube channel or by subscribing to the Council Debrief newsletter, which breaks down 3 to 4 key agenda items. Subscribe at cityofls.net. And the city has a variety of ways for citizens to stay up to date on what's going on around Lee Summit, including newsletters, social media, and the weekly flash briefing. Receive information involving road closures, city events, council meetings, and more. Catch the update on all of our social platforms. Stay informed. Thanks for listening and have a great week.
Keeping 500 miles of public sewer lines flowing keeps utility costs low and our environment healthy. The Lee Summit Water Utilities Operations Team does this every day. Sewer lines can be blocked with everything from roots to flushable wipes to food grease. When a potential blockage is identified, teams use detailed mapping to locate access points.
My camera's at 18038.
A camera truck parks at one end of the sewer line and a jet truck at the other. The camera truck carries a rover-type camera, which the team lowers into the manhole. The operator then drives the camera into the pipe, where it views and records from its adjustable lens. Here, it can identify the cause and precise location of the blockage. The jet truck will then use high-pressure water to remove the blockage. Starting at the opposite end of the line, the operator inserts the jet head into the manhole. Pressurized water shoots out of the head, clearing out debris and propelling it forward. The camera observes this process, and the two operators communicate via walkie-talkie to coordinate movement.
Hold it right there. Go ahead and fire it up, half pressure. I'm in front of you.
Once the jet head has passed the blockage, the operator reels it back in. The camera can then inspect the pipe to see if the blockage is cleared.
Yeah, go ahead and pull out. We're done.
With the job complete, the camera is removed, cleaned, and returned to the truck, and the crew moves on to the next job. In addition to addressing identified problems, the team will systematically check every line in the city in a 5-year period, keeping costs low and our community healthy, today and for years to come.
Welcome to the Lee Summit Sign Department. We are going to walk you through our process from start to finish. We make signs as needed here. It's not like we just go out into the field and place a speed limit sign here, no parking here. Our traffic engineers, they go through and they'll do field studies. They'll send us down an engineering work order for us to go out, place new signs or remove signs as needed. Coming from the material, our blanks come in and they're just aluminum blanks. We can put our white our red, our, you know, our fluorescent yellow, green, whatever. And basically what it looks like is just that there. Throw it up into the roller. And once we got it covered, take it to our work table here, and Tim will cut the corners, cut all the access off to where it's lined up right. As far as the plotter and the software that we use, there's a street name sign there, and he's gonna go ahead and print that out on the plotter so you can see the plotter and how it operates and runs. There's standards for the height, even just on letters on the sign blank. Basically what we have on the computer there is it's pretty much set up to those. And it goes through, it's got a very small but sharp needle that goes through and cuts everything out letter by letter. Once that's done cutting, our next stage would be bringing it over here. Currently picking out the sign letters right now. We call it weeding or picking or however you want to call it. Next, putting it on the transfer tape. Then after it's taped, we bring it over to the roller. That's where we apply it to the actual sign blank. And we'll roll it through one time just to get the air bubbles out. And the last stage is basically just taking the transfer tape off the front of it. And there's a finished product of the street name sign. We'll take you out to the field and show you our process that we go through. We're gonna go out and follow our sign guys and get something installed for you. This is where we check our underground utilities. Tim, you got AT&T?
AT&T's back here.
Evergy, Google, so we should be good to go. We normally put all of our stuff together out in the field. Then once the base is installed, we'll go ahead and put the post in there. We've come up to perfect. And that's how we do it. Simple, quick.
Councilmember Hodges.
Thank you. I love where you guys are coming from. You're local and you're all kind of coming together. But where I'm struggling with from the last time that we talked about this, I think it was maybe October. I actually grew up in my district. We moved here my sophomore year in high school. My parents still live in the same house, and I just went through high school here and then have stayed in Lee Summit ever since. The neighborhood that my parents live in is Canterbury. My favorite thing, and I still do to this day, is I love to go running. They have the best sidewalks. I feel like you can go for days. So now I still get to do that. Since I live not too far from them, I get to use those same routes that I took during high school, and it's just fun. All right, let's see it, Jess. Come on. We're a big soccer family. I love sports, I love to watch sports, and it's even more fun to watch sports when my kids are in it. I coach my middle daughter Josie's team. I have since kindergarten. We do the basketball, we do softball, we're gonna do volleyball, and it's just so much fun. Something that I would like to accomplish while on city council is to get more family activities here. You know, I don't want to have to be driving my family to, say, the Kansas side or any other city but my own. And I want to be able to invest in our city and make family memories in our city.
Open the public hearing on the matter of K1 Speed, Diventures,
Crack Shack, Blue Jeans Golf.
Councilmember Hodges.
I just want to say thank you for bringing this to Lee Summit, because I grew up at this. My grandpa would take us there, so I'm excited that now I can take my kids there. Bill number 23-0 pre-construction services for the Downtown Market Plaza project.
I'm just as excited as everybody else about the downtown marketplace. I'm extremely excited about the community that it's going to bringing more family things to do to the city and right in the heart of it.
When you presented the numbers, the first time you came to us, it was 25.5%, and then
people were like, oh, being on council, it's not a lot of work, I think it was a bit of a surprise when there's so much info that you realize you just don't know. Even something as simple as sidewalks. It's like you don't realize how much goes into something like that. After a couple months, I'm like, okay, I'm finally, catching the groove of how things work, learning new things, but also feel like I've got some things under my belt as well. It's been a great experience so far.
Would you please rise for the invocation and stay standing for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Good evening. We pause for a moment of gratitude for the opportunity to serve this community. We're thankful for the safety and stability that allow us to gather openly, speak freely, and deliberate respectfully. Grant us clarity in thought, patience in listening, and wisdom in our decisions. Help us weigh differing perspectives with fairness and seek solutions that serve the long-term good of our residents. May we conduct this meeting with civility, integrity, and a shared commitment to the well-being of our city. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Women's hockey.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Welcome again, everyone. I'm calling to order the City of Lee Summit regular session number 64. Oops, hold on. There we go. Could I get a roll call, please?
Councilmember Carlisle.
Present.
Councilmember Lovell.
Here.
Councilmember Funk.
Here.
Councilmember Shields.
Here.
Councilmember Pryor.
Here.
Councilmember Rader.
Present.
Councilmember Hodges. Mayor Pro Tem Lopez.
Here.
Mayor Baird.
Here. The first item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. Can I get a motion? I have a motion by Councilmember Carlisle to approve the agenda, seconded by Councilmember Funk. Discussion? Seeing none, please cast your vote.
I'm an aye.
Oh, Councilmember Lovell's an aye.
I'm an aye, please.
Mayor Pro Tem Lopez is an aye. Oh, okay. Councilmember Pryor is an aye. All votes are in. Please record the vote. Passes 8-0. Thank you. Next is the approval of the consent agenda. I have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Lopez to approve the consent agenda, seconded by Councilmember Shields. Discussion? Seeing none, please cast your vote. All votes are in. Please record the vote. Passes 8-0. Thank you. Next, we have Council Roundtable. These are items of general interest, things going on in the community, things of that nature. Your district, maybe? All right. Councilmember Pryor.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, so I know that I should probably bring this up during council. What is this? Is this comments or roundtable?
This is Roundtable.
So I'll be bringing it up during council comments, but the Kratom and 70H. So I just wanted to. FYI. Yes, FYI, be ready. All right. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we have a proclamation this evening, so if I could get the March for Meals crew up front to meet me up front, please. Hello, come on up front here. Want to come back here with me? Hello. I will read it and then I'll do the rounds and see who's all here. So, all right. Come closer, guys. Here we go. Whereas on March 22nd, 1972, President Nixon signed into law a measure amending the Older Americans Act of 1965 to include a national nutrition program for seniors 60 years and older. Whereas for more than 5 decades, this landmark law has helped fund community-based organizations like Meals on Wheels and is still the only federal program designed specifically to meet the nutritional and social needs of older adults. Whereas this year, Meals on Wheels programs from across the country are joining together for the March for Meals awareness campaign to celebrate its success and garner the support needed to ensure these critical programs can continue to address food insecurity and malnutrition, combat social isolation, enable independence, and improve health for years to come. Whereas Meals on Wheels programs, both congregate and home delivered in Lee Summit, have served our community admirably for more than 51 years. That's pretty awesome, 51 years. Volunteers for Meals on Wheels and Lee Summit are the backbone of the program, and they not only deliver nutritious meals to seniors and individuals with disabilities who are at significant risk of hunger and isolation, but also caring concern and attention to their welfare. Programs in Lee Summit provide nutritious meals to seniors throughout our community that help them maintain their health and independence, thereby helping to prevent unnecessary falls, hospitalizations, and premature institutionalization. The senior program is increasing steadily, and action is needed now to support local Meals on Wheels programs through federal, state, and local funding, volunteering, donations, and raising awareness to ensure these vital services can continue to be delivered for years to come. By virtue of the authority vested in me as mayor of the city of Lee Summit, I do hereby proclaim the month of March 2026 as March for Meals Month. Who would like to speak first?
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening. My name is Angela Fite, and I'm the of Lee Summit. It's truly an honor to stand here this evening and speak about the incredible impact of Meals on Wheels in Lee Summit and our community. Since 1974, this organization has been serving our neighbors with compassion, dignity, and dedication. What began with just 15 clients has grown into a vital lifeline for seniors and homebound individuals throughout Lee Summit. Over the years, Meals on Wheels of Lee Summit has delivered more than 600,000 meals, with some reports noting that number has surpassed 650,000 meals. That is more than 500,000 times someone in our community received not just food, but care. Today, the program delivers approximately 700 meals per week, ensuring that dozens of residents each weekday receive a hot, nutritious meal. For many recipients, this meal is the most substantial one they will have all day. And at a cost of just $4.75 per meal, the organization stretches every dollar to make meaningful difference without relying on federal funding. Instead, it depends on local donations, partnerships, and the generosity of this very community. But Meals on Wheels is about more than numbers. It is about 160 volunteers who show up each week after week. These volunteers drive the routes, knock on doors, share smiles, and provide safety checks. They are often the only person a client may see that day. Their compassion reduces isolation, strengthens connection, and reminds our seniors that they are valued and remembered. To our volunteers, thank you. Thank you for your time, your reliability, and your kindness. You are the heartbeat of this organization. Without you, these 700 weekly meals would not reach the tables they are meant for. I would also like to extend sincere gratitude to our mayor for 8 years of proclamations and supporting initiatives that strengthen the well-being of our senior residents. Leadership at the city level matters. When our local government champions programs like Meals on Wheels, it sends a powerful message that caring for most vulnerable neighbors is a shared priority. And to the entire Lee Summit community, our donors, local businesses, and residents, thank you. Your generosity keeps the kitchens running, the meals prepared, and the delivery routes moving. Every dollar given, every fundraiser attended, and every volunteer hour served contributes directly to helping a neighbor remain independent in their home. Meals on Wheels represents the very best of who we are as a community, compassionate, committed, and connected. More than 600,000 meals, hundreds of volunteers, thousands of lives touched over 5 decades. That is not just a program, that is a legacy of care. Thank you all for being a part of it, and thank you for continuing to ensure that no senior in Lee Summit is forgotten.
Thank you. Could you say your names and how you're involved?
Dolores Sinram, and I'm on the board of Meals on Wheels.
Susan Kaufman.
I'm Mike Yan from the board also. I would like to add that my thanks to the mayor for, I've been affiliated with him on this March for Meals event over, I think, 7 years, Mr. Mayor. And every year he comes and he delivers meals to our drivers, and then goes out and delivers them to our clients once a year. So on behalf of the entire board of Lee Summit Meals on Wheels, we want to thank you for your support.
Terry Kinchlow, board member with Meals on Wheels, and again, I'd like to echo that. My thanks to you and also for the entire council for your support of Meals on Wheels. We couldn't do it without the support of the community, so thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate you all. It is very fun to volunteer, and we've had some good times doing that. And but it's really fun to see who's volunteering to deliver the meals. The people in the community. There's a lot of people that our council knows, and it's a feel-good type of opportunity to volunteer. So, Thank you. Let's take a picture real quick. Did you guys come in for a picture, Susan? Yeah. All right. Thank you all again.
Thanks again. See you next month.
All right.
Okay. Looks like we have some business to get to. Public hearings. So I'm going to close the regular session. Open the public hearing in the matter of agenda item 5A. This is a preliminary development plan, Bank of America, 1801 Northwest Chipman Road, Cushman and Wakefield is the applicant. Would all those wishing to speak to this matter please rise to be sworn in by the city clerk? All right, does the applicant have a presentation?
He does. Good evening, council. I'm Brian Emmerich with Allegro Civil Engineers. We're the consulting civil engineer here. I don't know if I can turn on this computer. I will. There we go. Pull up my little presentation here. Okay. As mentioned, we're the consulting civil engineers for proposed Bank of America at 1801 Northwest Chipman Road. Quick agenda, go through existing conditions, project description, details, a couple of the applicant's letter responses, and then I understand there's a section for questions after the city staff makes their presentation, so I'll hold on that for now. Existing conditions, the site is currently developed as a Bank of America. It's a pretty old building. It's approximately 4,200 single-story, 4,200 square foot single-story financial center. The lot is about 1.41 acres. There are 4 drive-up ATM lanes and then 1 remote ATM lane, which you can see here. There's 2 existing driveway curb cuts that access Northwest Chipman Road directly, one of which is fully signalized. It's zone CP2, 25 existing parking spaces, and there's no pedestrian connection to the right-of-way. This is an aerial image and then the land survey that we've had done for the site. Proposed conditions, it's a slightly larger, more modern Bank of America prototype building, about 4,700 square feet, still single story. They're looking to also subdivide the lot. It's a pretty large lot right now, so the proposed improvements would go on the western, roughly 1 acre, and then the remaining eastern half acre roughly would be subdivided off under a separate minor plat instrument. Proposed conditions would involve 2 drive-up ATM lanes as opposed to the 4 existing now, and then accessory parking and landscaping. We're not proposing any change or any modifications to the 2 existing curb cuts or signalizations of the one there. No change in zoning, and then we're proposing 27 off-street parking spaces, as well as a pedestrian sidewalk connection to the right-of-way. These are the 4 building elevations. Some concept renderings here. The overall site plan, including some detail views of the bank standard drive-up ATM. Those 2 lanes are here and here. And then the bank standard screen fencing, which is part of the high-density landscaping buffer that is proposed on the west, south, and east sides of the site. Proposed landscape plan, as I mentioned, there's no proposed changes to either of the 2 existing curb cuts on site, and this is the half-acre portion of the existing lot on the east side of the site, which would be developed under subdivided under a separate instrument. Concept lighting plan. And these were a couple of the responses to the applicant's letter, one of which is the parking lot setback. There is one modification requested. There's a 20-foot required parking setback on the west side of the site, which we are requesting to be modified down to 6 feet. And then this is just a note that we are pursuing this platting for the subdivision separately. We are also undertaking some private utility location right now to try and locate that existing sanitary sewer lateral, and we understand if it can't be located or is not in acceptable condition for reuse, that we would need to pursue these public infrastructure plan process. That's it. Thank you for your time.
All right, thank you. We have staff's presentation.
Good evening, Hector Soto Jr., Senior Planner. I'd like to enter into the record Exhibit A, list of exhibits 1 through 15.
Please enter into the record Exhibit A 1 through 15.
So as Mr. Emmerich had mentioned, the application before you is for consideration of a preliminary development plan for the redevelopment of the existing Bank of America site just immediately to the south of Summit Woods Crossing Shopping Center. The westernmost drive that serves as the primary entrance to this location, which would be here, is the same signalized intersection serving as the main entrance to Summit Woods across the street to the north. So the existing building, as has been mentioned, is approximately 4,200 square feet. The proposed building is slightly larger, about 4,700 square feet. But with this redevelopment, they're able to kind of tighten up the site a little bit more. You can see the existing facility on the image on the left. And here it kind of depicts that they kind of turned the building a little bit about counterclockwise, about 90 degrees. And in doing so, are able to create an additional half-acre parcel for potential future development, as has been mentioned by Mr. Emmerich. The elevations here are fairly standard for a lot of newer commercial retail development that we see in the city, with a lot of use of stucco, metal panels, brick, stone veneer, and glass. There is one modification that's being requested, and that is along the western boundary where the proposed development abuts some existing townhomes in John Knox Village. The existing facility was developed in 1980, and at that time, the UDO allowed for parking lots to be basically right up to the property line. And what currently exists is a 1-foot separation from the parking lot edge to the John Knox Village property line that is shared with Bank of America. With this redevelopment, they're able to pull back that pavement line back by about 5 feet and are able to provide 6 feet of area for some landscaping and a solid fence. There's already an existing fence here only along the western boundary, kind of mostly parallel to the remote ATM facility. So with this redevelopment of the site, they are improving by providing some of that, pulling back and providing a little bit more separation from the development to the west. So one of the items that was brought up garnered a fair amount of discussion at the Planning Commission level, had to do with the landscaping or the high impact screen buffer. So what's currently proposed is for landscaping plus a solid 6-foot screen along the west, east, and south boundary. There's currently no such fence along the eastern boundary or the southern boundary where the development also abuts other John Knox Village property. So given that there has been no fence for the last 46 years at this facility, the Planning Commission had quite a bit of discussion as to whether or not that fence, it might be better for that fence just to not be provided. So at that time, what was suggested, rather than making a condition eliminating it, staff suggested that the applicant, during the time between Planning Commission and City Council, reach out to John Knox Village to see if they had a desire as to whether or not they would rather have a fence there, which, one hasn't been there for 46 years, or if they would rather have the fence. So the response back from John Knox Village was they want the fence. So the plan as currently presented includes both landscaping and fencing, which is all compliant with the UDO, so no modification or anything is needed for that. So with that, staff is recommending approval of the development, subject to conditions 1 and 2. So with that, I'll yield to any questions you may have.
All right, thank you. Any questions for staff or the applicant? Councilmember Carlisle.
Thank you, Mayor. Just real quick, is there a plan at this time to develop that secondary lot?
Not at this time that the city's been made aware of, no.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay. Anyone here wishing to speak in favor or in opposition to the application, please come forward. All right, any additional questions from council? Does the applicant care to make any further comment? Thank you. Hearing no further testimony, I'm closing the public hearing and reopening the regular session. Is there any council discussion on this application? Councilmember Rader.
Thank you, Mayor. I drive by there probably 2 or 3 times a day, so I really like the way it looks. It's needed an update for quite a long time, so I think it's going to be a nice addition to that area over there and really update it, look good. So thank you for continuing to stay in Lee Summit.
Thank you. Any other comments? I agree. It's a very nice, very beautiful building, and it'll really look good compared to what you got now. But I like the way that you made the most out of that location too. Seeing no further questions or comments from council, Councilmember Pryor, would you please read Bill number 26-026?
Yes, I will.
Thank you.
Okay, I move to advance to a second reading, Bill number 26-026, an ordinance approving a preliminary development plan for approximately 1.4 acres of land located at 1801 Northwest Chipman Road, all in accordance with the provisions of Chapter 33, the Unified Development Ordinance of the Code of Ordinances for the City of Lee Summit, Missouri.
Thank you. We have a motion to move to second reading, Bill number 26-026 by Councilmember Pryor, seconded by Councilmember Shields. Discussion? Seeing none, please cast your vote. All votes are in. Please record the vote. It does move to second reading unanimously, so it'll be a second. There'll be a second reading next time. And thank you for reinvesting in Lee Summit. All right. Next, we're going to close the public or the regular session and open the public hearing in the matter of agenda item 5B. This is a preliminary development plan, pathways at Kensington Farms Phase 1, 1231 Southwest Waterloo Drive, Petra Development. Is the applicant? Would all those wishing to speak to this matter please rise to be sworn in by the city clerk?
Hello, everyone. Tyler Burks,
Yep.
Petra Development, 5440 West 110th Street, Overland Park, Kansas. There you go. Pathways at Kensington Farms. I think everyone's pretty familiar with this one here, so we'll just give you some updates on where we're at today. Reintroduction, I'll just kind of touch on the team really quick on who's working on this project and also has been working with me on the neighbors and things like that as well. Previous project plans where we started and then where we're headed here. Existing conditions, stormwater drainage, existing utilities, et cetera. And then lastly, the public improvements with the walking trail that's associated with Phase 1. As mentioned before, Tyler Burks with Petra, and then we have my partner here, Ty, with me tonight. NSPJ Architects are working on the clubhouse. McClure Civil Engineering, Merge Midwest, they did the traffic study. Terra Foundation on the wetlands, and the wetlands. And then Spencer Fain on legal. Our first pass, so we had a big grand plan going into this thing following the PMIC zoning, just trying to fit in with that, with the plan here. And then the original plan had a little bit less of the detached single-family homes, and then more of the townhomes, and then we also had Big House. That actually didn't even make it to the last round here, but that was 712. Had the neighborhood meeting, and then that wasn't in favor of the neighbors, so then we actually made the adjustments to the plan, increased the detached single-family homes, and then decreased the density overall, and then that was the previous plan that was presented here last time. And then since then, of course, we've had the change in plans to continue on with phase one only. And since that time, since what was it, November 18th, right, that we had that wonderful meeting, we've been communicating with the neighbors on a regular basis, 6+ in-person meetings since then, since that time, and I'm in regular text messages and email threads with these folks, keeping constant contact with them and keeping them updated on the progress of the project. And then obviously working towards a common goal with the wants and needs of the neighbors here. And then more importantly, how to work together on how to improve the existing HOA situation. I gave a pretty extensive history last time on what was going on, and then so we're still continuing to work together on the new HOA plan, as well as possible transition period in the future once full build-out happens. And then still having conversations about what phase 2 and phase 3 will look like. So we're hoping to have a plan here in the near future for you guys as well. As mentioned earlier, we're only moving on with just phase 1. And then so this is just kind of a quick timeline of where we're at here. We're looking to close on the land next month. Final survey and platting mid to late March, also starting that right away. We're going to go right into all of that, and then hoping to break ground in the summer. And then the first set of lots, 25, by the end of summer, early fall. The project boundary outline here, as you can see, all detached single-family homes. And then here's a little bit more details on the lot sizings on here. As we go through final platting and final permitting process, those lot sizes are subject to change somewhat, but by and large, the lot sizes are anywhere between 6,400 to 15,000 square feet, just the typical lot size in the neighborhood. What you see here in these gray boxes are actually 3-car garage homes that all fit in somewhat of a typical lot here. And then you can see here in this pink section here, these are larger lots. These are upwards to 70-foot frontages. And in the green section, these are down into the 52s, right? So there's a variation of lot sizes, which will have variations in price ranges as well. And then, so we actually have sub-phases going on in here, right? Because we can't do all this all at once. So we're being strategic on, how things are being moved, the dirt, utilities, et cetera. But what you see here in the pink color is 61 lots. That's basically phase 1 of phase 1. So we're actually using the existing road structures that are already in place. So taking advantage of what's already there and delivering the lots right away. That's why we can deliver lots so quickly on that first tranche there. And then just continuing to carry on through Cornwall here. And then down here through Blackpool, that's going to be our first order of business of getting those 25 lots in there, maybe 30. Now that we've been looking at it a little bit further. And then you'll see some of the road network will start to go in, but then more importantly, what will really help sell these homes as we move through is that we're starting on the clubhouse right away. It should be delivered by the second subphase of the project, right? So I know a lot of developers kind of push that off towards the end, but we want to get in front of all that, right? And then phase 2, subphase 2 is 53 lots, as you can see here in the orange, and then the green 64 and the blue 57. Here's typical elevations from some of our home builders that we're talking to and working with on this project. These are homes that are not too dissimilar or any different than what you currently see in Kensington Farms today. All for sale homes, detached single family, 3 and 4 beds, 2.5 bath roughly. 2 and 3 car garage homes, anywhere between 1,200 to 2,400 square feet, plus 400s to 500s on the pricing range that we're targeting, fully amenitized, as I mentioned earlier. And then, again, consistent with the Kensington Farms character. Here's a quick shot at just kind of an idea of what the amenity package is going to look like. So we'll have a clubhouse, and then there will be a pool with some landscaping around there. And then this is roughly a little over 1/4 of an acre, upwards towards a 1/2 acre of a green space here for the kiddos to go out there and do whatever they do. And then using the current HOA, so this was a big thing of kind of working with the neighbors on what are these homes going to look like, and how is the transition going to happen, how is it going to be efficient. So what you see here is exact text from the current HOA. And then so what we did, we actually just sent this to our attorneys and said, hey, just repeat this, but update it to today's time. And then so effectively we're recreating the HOA, but we will have our own HOA with the new phase. But then as the new phase is absorbed by new families, then there will be an opportunity for the 2 HOAs to merge in the future. This creates efficiency with us, and it lets them continue to work on their HOA situation, and then eventually, years down the road, that things will be able to merge and be one. And then that'll be a great benefit, because then they'll have 2 clubhouses in the neighborhood at some point. And another thing here too that was important to everyone was the monotony clause that's in the existing HOA. So we're repeating that. So then we're not having we're not having the Truman Show type of neighborhood here. Everything's going to be interesting. It's going to be, rotating from elevations to sizes and things like that, colors, all of that good stuff too. So, and another thing that we're going to put in there too is it's all hard siding. So no vinyl siding is going into the new community. So it'll be an elevated look. Moving on to the existing utilities conditions, I won't dive too deep into the story because you guys are probably familiar with it, but it was built started in 2006. And so what you see here, a lot of this, and these black lines here are existing stormwater, sewer, et cetera, water utilities that were left behind years ago. So one of the first things we're going to be doing in phase 1 is clearing a lot of this out, abandoning in place if need be, but by and large, we're planning on removing all of it so we can add in new. And then so with that total, it's about 18,825 linear feet worth of pipe and 108 structures with, storm catch systems, and then also fire hydrants and things like that. So it's a lot of removal that we're going to be doing here. Kind of a cool heat map here that shows kind of the existing conditions. You can actually see where the erosion was happening, where the original streets were graded, and then nothing's really happened there. And you can see further erosion that's happening over here. We're not going to touch this just yet, but as we move to the west, in the future phases, this will get corrected as well. And you can see a little bit of that erosion that's coming into this wetlands area. It's actually causing a lot of flooding for these folks here. So as soon as we start doing this and we start clearing up this storm pond over here on the northeast side, these folks are going to have hopefully better drainage into their backyard, so it's not flooding down there. That's one of the biggest complaints that I've heard with the neighbors so far. And then we'll start chipping away at this big sucker here. So about 45,000 cubic yards worth of dirt from a lot of home builders around the area. This just is found ground for a lot of those guys, right? And they just keep doing it to this day. So hopefully when we start, this situation is going to start getting cleared up. We're not touching this one just yet, but it's just something to keep in mind that as we move forward and start working on phase 2 and phase 3, this is also an issue. Roughly a 3-acre pond that's collecting algae and things like that. And that's what's draining into Raintree Lake right now. So the faster we get to go to phase 2 and phase 3 and kind of work through that, the faster we get to remediate this problem as well. Nice clean lines of utilities here. So we're going to have nice new utilities for everyone here, and then it's all going to work properly, unlike what it is today. And then lastly, the public improvement. So one of the requirements that we have to make is we have a proposed 10-foot walking trail all the way from Ward Road on the east side, and then it's going to connect into Fenwick and then ultimately over to Rupert Road, which is about a half-mile worth of walking trail that will go in during phase 1. That's it. Thank you, guys.
All right, thank you. Can we have staff's presentation, please?
Hector Soto Jr., Senior Planner. I'd like to enter into the record Exhibit A, list of exhibits 1 through 19.
Please enter into the record Exhibit A, 1 through 19.
Okay, so as Mr. Brooks had mentioned, the previous iteration of this plan for the development of Kensington Farms was seen by this body back, I guess that'd be 4 months ago, thereabouts. And at that time, it was a full three-phase development with approximately, what would that be, 540 dwelling units. And at that time, part of the denial was based on some of the incompatibility issues that were raised, or concerns about incompatibility with phases 2 and 3, which were composed of townhomes and some other slightly higher density residential. But at that time, there was seemingly not much, if any, concern regarding phase 1, which was composed of 235 detached single-family dwelling units that are pretty compatible with the existing development that exists for the initial phases of Kensington Farm. So here you can see the initial phases of Kensington Farm, kind of a bit of a horseshoe along the outer edges of the northern, southern, and eastern half of the overall property. And all of the color-coded area composed in between that is composed of the 235 lots that Mr. Burke's group is decided to move forward with, and stripping out for now phases 2 and 3, and just move forward with phase 1, which was the area that seemingly the residents and the Planning Commission, City Council seemingly did not express any concerns over. So with phase 1, again, single-family detached residential, it's consistent with the comprehensive plan, which calls for residential 1. In terms of the nature, some of the lot sizes that he had mentioned kind of vary, can range from the mid 6,000s upward to 1,600. Some of the smaller lots kind of do dip into the range of what would be considered more a residential 2, a little bit smaller lot. But again, they're relatively consistent with the existing development that you do see in those initial Kensington Farm phases. Again, some of the homes that are being presented or proposed with some of these lots do fit into the missing middle housing component. And just for some clarity on what missing middle means, it doesn't necessarily refer to price points so much as housing typologies. So here there are some lots that are, again, smaller than some of the traditional lots that you might see in some of the Wintersets or Eagle Creek that have a little bit larger lots. So the full range of lots that you see in the proposed development of phase 1 does, like I said, does fall within some of the traditional detached single-family home areas, but also dips into the missing middle housing typologies. Again, you can see here, the initial plan for Kensington Farm was all single-family residential, so the phase 1 of 235 units is consistent with that original vision for Kensington Farm. And again, phases 2 and 3 will come forward as part of some future applications at a time to be determined by the developer. The elevations that are provided are pretty consistent with the more recent updated elevations that were approved for some of the inspired home products that you see in some of the more recent phases of Kensington Farm. As Mr. Brooks had mentioned, that the evaluation of the traffic study and staff's prepared transportation impact analysis calls for the only road improvements beyond the internal roads that are going to be extended to provide service to these lots. Off-site improvements are just going to be limited to with phase 1. It's just the addition or the provision of a 10-foot shared use path along the south side of County Line Road between Ward Road and Rupert Road. Here's just some existing stormwater infrastructure work that'll be handling the stormwater generation from phase 1. With this new iteration of the plan. Staff has not received any phone calls, any phone calls or communication in opposition to the development. So staff is recommending approval to the revised plan, subject to conditions 1 through 4 that are before you now.
All right, thank you. Any questions for staff or the applicant? Okay, we can see there's been quite a few adjustments since that meeting a few months ago. Then I will ask if there's anyone that wishes to speak in favor or in opposition to the application. Please come forward. All right, any additional questions from council? Does the applicant care to make any further comment? Thank you. Hearing no further testimony, I'm closing the public hearing and reopening the regular session. Is there any council discussion on this application? Councilmember Rader.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, I just want to compliment Mr. Brooks and your team for really working with the residents. I mean, we went from one extreme to the other. I'm very pleased with what you've come up with. I think it'll be a nice extension to Kensington Farms. And I just wish you great success. Thank you for doing that. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilmember Shields.
Thank you, Mayor. You know, I didn't mind the old plan, but I'm glad that you were able to work through this, work with the residents in that area, and come up with something that would work for everyone. And thank you for investing in Lee Summit.
Thank you. Councilmember Pryor.
Thank you, Mayor. I think you're setting the bar high because I have not gotten any phone calls against it, but I do get quite a few phone calls of people telling me how thankful they are that you are communicating with them and working with them. So thank you. I'm also appreciative that you included the graphic of the water that's draining to Raintree, because I mean, I hear about it all the time, but I hadn't actually seen that graphic, so that was actually very helpful. But thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Funk.
Thank you, Mayor. Repeating everything they said, Mr. Brooks, I appreciate you working with staff, mainly the residents and our planning commission, and rearranging this whole thing. And a great job, as Councilmember Pryor said. All the phone calls have been positive, so, you know, kudos to you guys and good luck with this. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Lovell.
Yeah, I think a couple keys to this that I think are really important. You know, is the maintaining the integrity and the value of the existing homes, and so your work to take what was in the existing HOA as it related to materials and facade, in maintaining that integrity as to not cause issues maybe with their home values is very important in a situation like this. So I appreciate that. The materials you're using, not using the vinyl siding and some of that, which I know costs more to do that. As someone that's gone through something similar where a plot of land and a second phase was undeveloped and other developers had come in and offered something what we would consider inferior that might lower home values, you've done the opposite and maintain that. And so I just think like those are the keys to this that I think are really important in your willingness to come together and put something together. It's a win-win for both parties. And what happens in phase 2 and phase 3 is left to be seen, but I think the goodwill that you're creating here obviously lends itself to open dialogue and communications to see phase 2 and 3 be successful. So thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Lopez.
Thanks, Mayor. Not a whole lot more than I can add. Just grateful again, Mr. Burks, for engaging the residents, the neighbors. That is really, really important when you do developments in Lee Summit. And for listening to us and being flexible and working with our staff as well. So just want to thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. And I will just add that it's not an easy property to develop. People have shown that for decades. So I'm really happy that you stayed with it and had the resolve and the confidence and the ability to work with the residents like you did. So lots of kudos to you, sir. And so we're going to call for a vote on this. Would, Councilmember Shields, would you please read bill number 26-027?
Thank you, Mayor. I move for second reading of Bill Number 26-027, an ordinance approving a preliminary development plan for land located at 1231 Southwest Waterloo Drive for pathways at Kensington Farms Phase 1, all in accordance with provisions of Chapter 33 Unified Development Ordinance of the Code of Ordinances for the City of Lee Summit, Missouri.
Thank you. We have a motion to move to second reading, bill number 26-027 by Councilmember Shields, seconded by Councilmember Funk. Discussion? Seeing none, please cast your vote. All votes are in. Please record the vote. It does pass unanimously. It'll go to second reading. And again, thanks for sticking with it and investing in Lee Summit. Okay. Got another public hearing, I believe. Yep. Closing the regular session, open the public hearing in the matter of Agenda Item 5C, Unified Development Ordinance, UDO Amendment, updates to development requirements and review processes pertaining to Article 2, Applications and Procedures, and Article 14, Administration. City of Lee Summit is the applicant. Would all those wishing to speak to this matter please rise to be sworn in by the city clerk?
It's me again. Hector Soto Jr., Senior Planner. I'd like to enter into the record Exhibit A, list of exhibits 1 through 10.
Would you say it again, please?
Entering Exhibit A, list of exhibits 1 through 10.
Please enter into the record Exhibit A, 1 through 10.
Okay, well, we're going to get into some of the, probably not the most glamorous parts of development. We're going to be talking more about processes and procedures. So this isn't, there'll be a lot of pretty pictures to help maybe.
Very pretty.
Yes, so maybe provide a little more interest in here. So we're basically going to be focusing today on 6 specific areas to look at some recommended process improvements, process and application improvements that staff was tasked to as part of the strategic plan in trying to help further or facilitate some of the provision of housing in the city. Now, some of these changes that are being proposed won't just impact housing specifically, but they'll also be able to spill over and help just commercial industrial development as well. So residential and non-residential development will benefit from some of these kind of micro adjustments or improvements that we're proposing for the UDO. So this diagram here kind of shows essentially kind of the life cycle of a type of application that will come before the Planning Commission and City Council. All of these specific steps don't apply to every application, but they can apply to every application. So some of these proposed improvements will be targeting, they may not hit every single one of them, but you can see here how they will tie into one another just from a broad 30,000-foot view of what our process is. And one thing I'll kind of start in that sometimes there may be some, as specific with concept plan, as I learned last time we brought this forward, there's some terminology on some of the things that we'll be talking here that might be used in other types of applications or presentations that are brought before you, like the concept plans that might be presented to you as part of incentive requests. The terminology here that are being used here specifically for concept plan is specifically the type that would go in front of the Planning Commission, City Council for consideration of rezoning applications as a precursor to a forthcoming preliminary development plan. So hopefully there won't be much, if any, confusion, but please stop me if you have any questions or any clarification on it. So the concept plan, this type of application was essentially initiated with the advent of the UDO back in 2001, the idea being that this would allow for generally large acreage pieces of property, big picture development to be able to come forward to the Planning Commission and City Council, typically associated with the rezoning application, when the details of a specific plan aren't quite known yet, but there's kind of more of a bubble drawing of what someone might conceive of development. So what this application does is it allows an avenue for development to come through, again, typically with the rezoning application, where the developer is able to provide a certain high-level amount of detail to support an associated rezoning application, and is able to receive some feedback and preliminary, let's say, gain approval of rezoning of proposed future development based on that plan, with the understanding that the details of the specific plan will come forward as part of a separate preliminary development plan, which would also have public hearings. So some of the difficulty that is being voiced to staff when it comes to developers that are considering the use of the conceptual development plan is some of the specificity that is being asked at that point when they're typically looking at 30,000-foot view versus more of a granular preliminary development plan when they kind of have a better idea as to who their tenant might be or tenant mix might be. So specifically there are a list of here 10 submittal requirements that accompany a conceptual development plan. 2 of those being 4 and 7, which is to provide square footage of commercial retail development, and then to also provide elevations of the specific uses. And some of the feedback that we received from the development community is that it's just too early for them to realistically give us a square footage amount. They're able to give us kind of general parameters of what the development is going to be in concept, again, from a land use standpoint, but the square footage is just too early for them to be able to reasonably or confidently tell you without perhaps coming back at a preliminary development plan stage and have something that might be wildly different from an earnest effort to try to provide some of that square footage as part of a conceptual development plan. And similar with elevation, some of the concern is we don't quite know what the mix is going to be. We don't know who our tenants are going to be. So they find it to be a little bit onerous to provide some of those details, but they're perfectly happy to provide some of the other itemized items here, which are a little bit easier to provide at that early stage. So some of the recommendation that staff has is to delete or eliminate numbers 4 and 7, which is providing that square footage at a conceptual development plan stage, as well as typical building elevations. All of that information is going to be provided at the preliminary development plan stage, which they will be required to follow even if they do get approval of a conceptual development plan. So their ask is, can we just move those 2 items to just the latter stage, which we have to go through anyway. We have to present this information to neighbors as part of the required neighborhood meetings. Planning Commission, City Council will be able to weigh that information at that later stage. They just find it to be a little bit too early and onerous to provide some of that information at these initial stages. And for conceptual plan, that's really the only recommendation is that we have. So I don't know, considering that this presentation is a total of 40 slides, it probably might be best if you have any concerns or questions with that type of recommendation.
I think they'd be okay, Councilmember Shields, go ahead.
I don't have a concern with it. I just wondered if you could explain just really briefly why does somebody want to do this concept plan? Like, I understand why they're not doing it right now because it's kind of jumping through the same hoops and they might as well just do a PDP, but is the benefit just getting some certainty about the zoning so that then they can keep going down the process? Because I know nobody wants to hire all their experts and professionals and engineers and all that and get deep into it and then find out that we're not willing to rezone it commercial or whatever. Is that kind of what it is, or?
It is something you can kind of foresee down the line coming is with all of the what used to be the Property Reserve Inc. property. So much of it's coming online.
Right.
It's a big massive property. Mm-hmm. So to your point, they have an idea as to what they want to do with it from a big picture standpoint, and they want to get some of that certainty on the zoning before they can market it to actual developers.
Right, because then they can say this is zoned P-mix, it's zoned commercial, start to get you some users and then come forward with an actual PDP once they can say to someone, we have some commercial zone property here. What do you want to do with it? That's kind of the idea.
Correct.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. The conceptual plan, the concept plan helps us too, because we then can save a bunch of time. If we don't like something, we can say something up front. So it's a time saver for not just them, but also us, and it gives direction. So I don't think anybody has a problem, though, if we don't have the exact square feet and such, so we're good to go there.
Okay. The next recommended changes have to do with preliminary development plans in terms of submittal requirements or when they are required. So right now, our ordinance, I'm highlighting here numbers 2 and 3, it just blanketly just states that the preliminary development plan is required for development of any vacant property in a planned district, just period. It then further goes on to say in number 3 that also applies to the redevelopment of any property. And some of the areas that we believe would be examples where some changes to that verbiage would benefit city, would also benefit developers, would be primarily with number 2 specifically, development of any vacant property in the planned district. We've had a number, in the last couple of years, we've had a number of instances where we have infill development in the downtown, where you have RP2 zoned lots. It's a single lot, someone wants to put just a single family home on it. Well, it's an undeveloped lot, so with the development of vacant property in a planned district, it checks 2 things. You're developing an undeveloped piece of property that happens to be in the planned district. So does it make sense from a development or from a process standpoint to require a single infill development in the downtown area that just happens to be zone RP2 to go through a 3-month process that a project like East Village has to go through? 3 months, public hearings, as opposed to establishing some parameters under which that type of application can be done either at a staff level or perhaps just go through just kind of a truncated process rather than going through such a drawn-out process. And one of the verbiage, so what we're looking at is perhaps carving out some parameters in which if you're looking at creating no more than 3 dwelling units on planned undeveloped property, where that can be done just more as a building permit. Essentially would be using that example. So rather than drawing out the process and going through public hearings, but establishing that parameter where as long as you're creating no more than 3 dwelling units, it could be something that can be approved at the staff level, just following a standard building permit process like you would for any other single-family home or duplex or triplex in the city. So 2 and 3 here are the text in black is how the verbiage currently reads. We're looking at added an exception, which refers to B and B below, making reference to as long as you're not creating any more than 3 residential lots, then it's a process where it does not require preliminary development plan approval and can just go straight to building permit. So like I said, probably the infill development is probably the place or the case where it would tend to save it would save a lot more time, and also to developers of an infill lot, it does create a less onerous process that you don't have to hire an engineer and surveyor per se. It's just a matter of perhaps getting an architect to do building plans, but then the surveyor just to plat out the lot, provide the plot plan, and not have 3 months of public hearing process associated with it. Similarly, we would have parallel language for number 7, which would essentially do the same thing, but just would apply for the redevelopment of any property. So if there's any, perhaps, use an example of downtown again, if you had an older home that's dilapidated, if you were to redevelop it, tear it down, and it was a larger lot where you could divide it and create no more than 3 single lots, that's something that could be approved administratively. And then the only other amendment that staff would have to this section would just be, perhaps there's some just situation that we just haven't come across yet that would allow the director to make the call, make the interpretation that that specific type of development may not trigger it. We don't quite know what that might be yet, but it creates some language where it provides some flexibility at the director level to weigh some of the conditions surrounding a particular piece of property to determine whether or not a preliminary development plan might be overkill or whether it be appropriate.
Okay. Does anybody want to discuss, giving a little bit more flexibility to allow them to administratively approve 3 lots in a development or redevelopment? Councilmember Shields.
So I think I recall a little while back, we had someone bring a PDP to put a duplex next to another duplex, and I asked, why do they have to do a PDP? This is kind of answering that question, that maybe they won't have to anymore.
Yeah, then here's the example of that one right here.
Okay.
It was off of Orchard and Central, so yes, you got a duplex here, a duplex to the northwest.
And this would kind of allow maybe a smaller develop, maybe like even an individual, a builder to just build 1 or 2 houses without needing to be an expert developer that's familiar with jumping through all these hoops. Kind of, it seems like this would be a little bit easier for someone at a small scale just trying to build 1 or 2 units to go through this rather than our current process.
Yeah, it seems that the one size fits all approach to the existing language would be overkill on a small single lot project like this.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
All right, thank you. Okay, not seeing any further comments, so we're good to go.
Okay, the next application the next recommendations have to do with revisions to previously approved preliminary development plans. So right now, our ordinance has verbiage that defines what a substantial change to a preliminary development plan is and what is a minor change. And it establishes thresholds, typically at 10% changes as it relates to density reductions or density increases, setback reductions, height increases, what are actually at 25%. But for the bulk of everything else, it's got a standard at 10%, where as long as you don't change that standard by more than 10%, it's considered a minor change, but anything greater than that is considered a substantial change. If something triggers a substantial change because it crosses these thresholds, it requires coming through a whole new set of preliminary development plan, public hearings, planning commission, city council, 3 months for a project that's already been previously approved. There are cases where, I guess using an example of if you had a commercially zoned property, the minimum side yard setback is at 10 feet. If someone came forward and had a building that was placed at 20 feet from the property line, and if they wanted to move that building from the 20 feet, which is more than twice what the ordinance requires, and move it 10 feet to meet the standard, that would trigger coming through a new set of public hearings in the 3-month process. Because they would breach that 10% threshold, even though they're still working within the parameters of what's allowed within that zoning district. So those are some of the changes that are being proposed here to provide a little more flexibility to developers to make some of those changes and perhaps not to trigger so quickly what constitutes a substantial change. The 25%, the one for building height, that one, if you were using an example here, the example that was given here is that in 2003, there was a plan out in New Longview for a couple single-story commercial buildings. The developer in 2020 just wanted to add a second story to those. They fit within the FAR standards, they fit within the density standards, but because they were 50% the height of what was previously approved, it triggered coming through a public hearing process, even though in every other aspect, it fully complied with every zoning district regulation. So this would be, again, an example where we now have a 2-story building out there that is compatible with other 2-story buildings. It just so happened that at this particular location, it was originally shown as single-story, but there are 2-story buildings out commercial buildings out in New Longview and multifamily development, multifamily buildings that are 3-story. So all of this would be keeping in this example, it's keeping in character of what's out there, but because it crossed that 25% threshold, it had to come through a new preliminary development plan. Here, what this table provides is just a little bit of context or just some comparisons as to how our definitions of what substantial change are relative to other communities, other peer cities. Other cities are more strict. I mean, you see Blue Springs, if you make a change of more than 5%, that's considered a substantial change. Right now, as I mentioned, we're at 10%. There are others that Franklin in Tennessee and Carmel, Indiana, if you do any change, any increase, it automatically triggers public hearings. So we're kind of in the middle right now. We're not super strict. We provide more flexibility in some other municipalities in the metro, but peer cities outside of the metro we're not as strict as. So what staff is recommending, well, actually what was presented given some of the feedback from CDC was to come up with a couple different options to see where everyone would kind of sit on as to what their preference might be. And this was also presented to Planning Commission. So the 3 options that are being presented are defining a minor change as any change to a development up to what the maximum might be allowed in that zoning district. So just flat out, so if you had, let's say, a single-family subdivision that came in with a 2.5 density, which is pretty typical for single-family residential zoning, but the zoning district says you can be up to 4. Under option 1, if you choose that one, it would say, okay, you're still within the parameters of what's allowed in the R1 zoning district, go for it. It doesn't matter that it's a 160% increase in your density. That's fine because you're still within the parameters of what's allowed in that zoning district. So that's one option. A second option would be to allow those types of changes up to what the zoning district allows as the maximum anyway, but only to restrict that to any property that's zoned ag through RP3. So it would exclude apartments and it would exclude commercial industrial development. The third option would be that, again, you can allow changes up to what the maximum is allowed in that zoning district, but it does not apply to PMIX. So industrial development, so that would capture all of residential plus commercial and industrial. The Planning Commission, they were a little bit split between 2 and 3, option 2 and 3. There was a little bit, I believe there was one more vote, one more person that expressed some preference to allow changes up to the zoning district maximum, but not for a PMIX zoning district. So that would apply to residential, non-residential, but not anything zoned PMIX. So that might probably garner the most discussion. I don't know what the comfort level might be with that. So this is where we're looking for some direction from you.
Councilmember Pryor?
Thank you. Okay, so I remember discussing this at CEDC, but is this the one where if you have a single-family neighborhood, administratively, you guys could approve a duplex or a townhome in there?
No.
Okay.
No.
So if it's a single-family neighborhood, it'll stay a single, like, they can't just, okay.
No, that would be, that's a separate UDO concept that's not part of tonight at all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Carlisle?
Thank you, Mayor. So I think all of them really seem reasonable. I think for me, I like best the number 2. I think that's the safest route to go, going up to the maximum allowed in those districts for those districts. 3 is not, not the worst thing, but I still have some heartburn on a couple issues in there. So to me, I think 2 is the best. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Funk?
Thank you, Mayor. Hector, when we talked about this at CDC and had the discussion, at what part of the process can the change be made?
This would be administrative.
But in the process, if of development,
That would be passed, so a preliminary development plan has already been approved, so they would be at the final development plan, building permit process.
okay.
Yes.
I think when we discussed this, I mean, number 2 kind of fell that I would be good with. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Shields?
To clarify for myself, so regardless of which of these 1, 2, or 3 we pick, would you still have this ability to call it a minor change up to the 10% increase in density, even in the excluded zones here? It's like if we said it doesn't apply to PMIX or it only applies in RP1, like if it was R1, could they still have the increase in lot coverage up to 10% or whatever? Like, we're not going to take away something from someone by making these changes,
No,
right?
no. So the way it's written now, if you followed number 2, so allowance up to the zoning district maximum would apply to the ag through RP3, but commercial and industrial and PMIX would still be subject to the existing verbiage.
Okay.
That, applies to 10 and 25%.
Okay.
Yes.
I just wanted to make sure that we weren't going to accidentally make things more restrictive on someone else. Okay. I know this will shock everyone, but 1 sounds fine to me. If we've already set the maximum density and floor area ratio and building height, I don't see any reason why you can't build on your property subject to those requirements, provided that's all reviewed by staff and that there's not any big issues being created. Because we set those setbacks and heights and everything for a reason, and like that's telling them what the standard is. So if that's not the consensus of my colleagues, I'd be happy to go with one of the other ones, but my preference would be to have more flexibility in more districts. Thank you.
Thank you. So is 1 basically a combination of 2 and 3?
3 omits PMIX, so 1 would just apply to, on any property, under any zoning, following approval of a PDP, you can,
So 1 would include PMIX.
yes,
So it's 2, 3, and PMIX.
yes.
Okay. Mayor Pro Tem Lopez?
Mayor, if you're just wanting some feedback, I'm comfortable with number 2.
All right. Thank you. The Planning Commission, this is really in their lane, where they're doing a lot of the vetting and working on this. And by the time it gets to council, hopefully we're not debating some of the details that they've already worked out. And I think that that's one of the biggest change with Planning Commission over the years, is that they've been working through all these details and with you staff and such. So I'm supportive of, like Councilmember Shields said, of giving administration more flexibility to make approvals, 10% and such. And the 25%, they seem modest enough that it wouldn't trigger major changes. At the same time, it's possible that Planning Commission, you said they were more in favor of 2 and 3. Is that what you said?
They were split between 2 and 3.
And so whatever we decide is going to affect them, correct?
Yes.
And so therefore, I'm willing to more accommodate what they need and want and desire. So I would tend to, I would tend to choose the next most flexible option. So the next most flexible option is 3. Is that correct?
Correct.
So I would go with 3 as a preferred, but just to give Planning Commission, more latitude to say what they like and don't like, especially when it comes to height. That's probably the biggest thing for me. So a couple other council members want to chime in. Councilmember Lovell, what do you think? I don't know. You were on Planning Commission at one time. Do you want to have more control over any changes and force the developer to come back through?
I'm more of an
Or-
example guy, so like I'm trying to think of like what are the unintended outcomes here? Like where does one of these decisions go wrong and how? And like, so it's just hard for me to sit here and wave a wand and, you know.
It goes wrong
I know
in
we're
that-
trying to clean up stuff administratively to give, you know, so we're not certain things, but so I mean, honestly, like I look at this and I'm just going to have to defer to what my colleagues.
Well, it goes
want to.
wrong in the parking lot. That's where it goes wrong. And the streets and those are the decisions that I think we most debate up here. Unless you want to talk about, you know, murals, don't even go there. So,
And one thing I will say, if there are certain concerns about what if there's still some stopgaps with some of the language that would still be retained, like one that you could see here would be 8, let's say someone does double the density of something or double the FAR. If some of the concern might be, it's like, well, is there adequate infrastructure? Is there enough, you know, what's the traffic impact? A condition like number 8, which would still be in effect, would be any change to a plan that significantly or negatively impacts traffic or infrastructure could be required to come back through the public hearing process. So if it triggers that, where there's question about the adequacy of infrastructure, that could come back forward for consideration, even though they might otherwise, with these other percentages, are still playing within the box. But if to your point, if there might be some externality that's created by it, there's a threshold by which it can come still before you for consideration.
I think I understood everything you said, but I don't know where you're trying to go with that, Hector.
Well, some of the concern might be, if you double the density of my development, what does that mean for streets? What does that mean
Yeah.
for infrastructure?
I understand, but
Yeah.
you're not doubling, you're talking about 10%.
But hypothetically, if you have, hypothetically, let's say you had a subdivision that was approved that came through here at a density of 2.0. If they were to double that density to 4.0 units per acre, you're doubling the density, but they're still within the parameters of the zoning district.
Okay.
So some of the concern might be, well, you're fine here, but what about the impact on infrastructure? So,
Okay. And you're saying 2 protects that?
Number 8 would. There's still some other language
Oh.
in there that says that there's some other,
I
yeah,
see.
if there are unintended other
Okay.
impacts.
All that because I said something about the streets.
Yes. Inevitably, it comes down to traffic a lot of times, so.
All
some of
right,
the
well,
concerns.
Traffic, I told you guys, it's all
you've got the auxiliary shields, why are we messing with this at this level attitude? And I'm close to her,
anything.
but I'm not that far. And then there's, you know,
Careful.
then there's number 2 that you just, you want
Well, I
to
guess
have say in everything.
Well, no, I mean, like, I guess my mind goes to like, we get presented a PDP and I'm thinking of some sort of development and then like, it, you know, like, I'm just seeing what's presented to us and then how significantly something would change from what was presented to us. And I don't think this is addressing like users or things like that. It's more just how, you know, like your perfect example of the building New Longview, well, that makes sense, right? I mean, it actually ends up being a better building and, you know, that's pretty easy. So, like I said,
All right, we're going to have to default to 2 if I can't get more consent on 3 or 1.
Fine.
So,
Mayor,
Councilmember Rader?
thank you. I'm going to pick door number 2, because I think that's probably a little bit stricter than 1, and, I mean, I was stuck between 2 and 3, but I'm going with 2.
2 it is.
Okay.
Mr. Soto? All right, let's keep going.
halfway there.
Okay, this slide just adds some additional language that gives the director some discretion to define what a minor change is if there's some unforeseen, undefined circumstance that comes up. I mean, there's always something you just can never consider. So that language is there to provide Ms. Albers or any future director that authority. Preliminary development plan extensions, right now, PDPs are just by right valid for a period of 24 months. If no preliminary development plan, if no final development plan is then submitted, then that PDP expires. Applicants have the ability to petition to the city council to grant an additional 12-month extension of that. So in an effort to perhaps buy some time on the developer side and take some items off of your plate. I know they don't necessarily come up that often, but it is, something else that possibly could be taken off your plate would be to allow for the director to administratively grant an extension not exceeding 12 months. And then any denial, if the director were to deny that request, it does allow verbiage where they can proceed and make petition to the city council to get that 12-month extension. So here's some example of where other communities currently grant that authority to grant PDP extensions. And there are communities like Shawnee and Olathe that grant that to the planning commission so as not to come all the way to the city council, but there are other communities that just keep it at the administrative level or the director level, like Lenexa and Carmel, Indiana. So I guess the question would be, does this body, are you open to the concept of allowing the director or administratively be able to grant a one-year extension rather than having to come before you to make that request?
Well, with inflation and everything that's gone on, and also we went through the whole COVID thing, and I mean, there's been a lot of time we've had to do extensions, have we not?
Yeah, more recently, yes.
Yeah, in recent years. Mm-hmm. So, do I have anybody objecting to giving the director the ability to grant a one-year extension?
I had a question. Are all those other cities 24 months?
The ones in the metro, they pretty much, we all kind of mirror the general process. So it's generally 24 months for our peer cities in the metro area.
No, things change a lot in 2 years. I mean, like you give someone 24 months, I could just see certain scenarios where like, well, that was a good idea 2 years ago, but you've sat on it for 2 years. We'd like, come back and tell us what you're doing. I'd rather see it come back before us, but I don't. Not that I don't trust the director, but again, like, that's, I can just think of where it was, something that is, wildly unpopular after 2 years, and not that the director would try to do something. I guess it's a total outlier, but things change quite a bit. I'd rather after 2 years come to us, but.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Shields?
Yes, I'm fine with the administrative extension. I guess I think like usually when someone comes and asks us for more time, we're usually good to work with. We try to be good to work with, and I don't think we usually would say no. Not that I want to take away our discretion, but it just to me seems like if they're working with staff in good faith, like there's no reason to clutter up our agenda with things that are basically rubber stamp. So I don't have an issue with this authority.
What about doing is that Planning Commission on there, PC?
Correct.
I mean, that's an in-between. You have a body that would give the approval, but it doesn't have to go through all the way through council. It's a thought.
I mean, are you asking me or the council?
I know where you are. You're willing to give it to the director. I'm trying to get the other council members to talk. Councilmember Funk.
Just ask him.
Thank you, Mayor. I think Councilmember Lovell was hitting on something. If we've got a project that's been setting for 2 years and maybe other development has come along and moved a little faster and it's moving, maybe what they were going to do isn't any longer a fit and they want to keep extending this out. I think our planning commission would be aware of those things, and maybe it is a good thing to go back to planning and go through that process, because they'll understand. And not that our director won't understand, but they will be up to speed on what's going on. So I would be good with planning commission.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Pryor?
Yeah, after hearing Councilmember Lovell speak, I would be good with planning commission or coming before council. I'm good with either one, but planning commission seems like a good compromise.
Thank you. Councilmember Rader?
Planning Commission.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. You guys okay with Planning Commission? Okay. Planning Commission,
Planning Commission? Okay.
thank you.
So modification requests. So right now, modification requests have to follow a public hearing process. Typically, that goes all the way to city council level. Here within the last year or so, there was a UDO amendment that allowed for the transfer of that authority on certain aspects of the UDO, specifically to parking lot design, RTU screening type, and the buffer locations to Planning Commission. So what's being asked is, would there be any willingness to perhaps shift that down another level down to the administrative level? Again, specific to parking lot design, RTU screening, and buffer locations. Any other UDO outside of that would still come through Planning Commission, City Council. So an example of a parking lot design modification that was shifted down to Planning Commission and could come down to, or it's being proposed or recommended to possibly come down to staff level, would be Lakewood Pool. We've also had them kind of along some of the redeveloped Quick Trip over on 3rd Street, where you have parking lot setbacks, or similar to Bank of America that we just had, where you had a setback that was built to an old standard. There is a renovation or redevelopment on the site. Any redevelopment any renovation or redevelopment of a site has to meet current standard. So, but let's say they're only demoing or doing work on part of the site. Well, you would have, in order to match a pre-existing condition that doesn't meet code, in this case like a parking lot setback, they'd have to come through Planning Commission, City Council for a 3-month public hearing, rather than allowing staff perhaps the authority to say, you're tying into a pre-existing condition, using a parking lot setback as an example. Staff, would you approve it? We would take into consideration what the previous ordinances were and what the existing conditions are, and say, yeah, go ahead and you can match it. You don't have to go 3-month process. It's an existing condition, just tie into it. That's kind of a more immediate example here. So is that something that?
Yes, Councilmember Carlo.
Thank you, Mayor. So, Hector, my only concern with that, when you say parking lot design, does that mean, and I don't even know, I'm going to say this out loud, but I don't know if I agree with what I'm just about to say. So, does that mean the number of spaces in the lot, that it would have to meet what we already have, and if they wanted to lower it, you guys could allow for that?
We actually already have language that'll allow us to do that.
That's what I was,
Yes.
to underneath the standard,
Yes.
right?
Yes, so so specific to parking spaces, our ordinance says, here's kind of the standardized box of how much parking you can provide. It also has language that says, here's an alternate parking plan option. If you, developer, provide us empirical data from a recognized, authority to say your use actually requires less than what your standard table says, as long as you can document that, staff has the authority to approve lowering parking standards. Now, if we don't agree with it, we can require them to come through a process in front of the Planning Commission, City Council. But
You
specific
can
to-
always require them to come through the process if
I'm
you
sorry?
don't. Even if we were to move this down to staff review, you could still say, no, we think you have to go through the process, correct?
If we don't agree with the reason or rationale,
Right.
yes, we can have them come through Planning Commission, City Council for you to be kind of the final arbiters on that.
Right, so my only concern with moving, especially, the parking lot design, just because we have had so many issues with parking in the city and things that have been approved that still had issues where people didn't say they were going to take up the parking they had, and there's still overflow parking. So that's very concerning to me, and I always have that in my head when looking at any kind of development, whether it be residential, commercial, mixed, everything. It is the issues that we have had with parking in the history. So that would be my concern with taking this out of any kind of public approval, public hearing process, is that, you know, if we think it's supposed to be like this and it turns out to be like this and nobody ever knew, that still falls on us.
I see what you're saying. Okay.
See what I'm saying? So those are my comments. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Shields?
Okay, so I think we've kind of covered the parking lot. RTU screening, that's for rooftop utilities?
Correct.
Like if you have an air conditioner on the roof or whatever? Okay, so, I mean, to me, that seems like very admin kind of thing. And then the buffer location, so that would be like how close to the property line the buffer is, or what would that mean?
Right, so right now, our ordinance historically has been very prescriptive in that a landscape buffer has to be within the 20 feet that make up the perimeter of a development. But there are certain times where there are existing conditions that it doesn't allow it for that to be placed there. So the buffer location language would allow some flexibility where we're still getting a buffer, but it's not just going to be like here. There's some flexibility
I
on
feel
where
like
to
we've seen a lot of
move it.
these where something with the topography makes it hard to put it in a certain spot.
Topography,
or-
utilities,
Yeah,
you know,
okay.
water detention, like
Okay.
detention ponds or something to that effect.
Okay. I mean, like, it seems to me, you know, I understand like things come up in the design process, you know, as you're moving from the preliminary development plan to the final development plan. The whole point is like you're getting more refined, more detailed, you're working through issues.
Correct.
And, you know, I keep coming back to something that I heard at the EDC luncheon this week when we had this panel and they were talking about, you know, time is money, that like when they have a 3-month delay, it's not just a hassle, it's they may not get started on construction before winter hits, or they've got interest recurring every day. So like I feel like wherever we can, it's good to try to smooth that process, because otherwise we're just kind of creating unnecessary costs without, like, especially with something like rooftop unit screening, like there's no reason to delay someone's ability to start construction by 6 months, 3 months, because we can't just administratively approve that. If there's really strong feelings about the parking lots, that's a little bit different, but like the exact location of a buffer, the exact type of a screening around an air conditioner, that should not delay somebody's project by 3 or 4 months if it's one that we've already approved. So I would really like to see those changes. And then, I don't know.
So parking lot design, possibly looking at keeping it at PC, but everything else, these other
I
two
mean,
administrative.
I know y'all will be shocked, like I'd be fine having the parking lot thing too, but it seems like maybe we'd have some more consensus on just the other two. So,
Okay,
yeah, thank you.
thank you. I would love to take the buffer location, and I think the planning commission does a great job. I appreciate their attention to detail, but I feel like that's where sometimes the council and the planning commission don't agree is about the buffers and such. They're more into those details, and we've overridden them a few times. I think it's the only thing we've been overriding them on lately, I think. So I would agree with removing that and the RTU, and I agree. I'm kind of shocked that I'm saying this too, but parking lots, when you get to the parking in the streets, it just needs to come back to us, I feel. So, you agree? Yep.
So
All
just
right.
for
They all
my
agree.
clarity, buffer location staff or PC?
Staff.
Okay, so keeping that.
Buffer location staff, so that we're not
Yeah.
getting in the weeds on a see-through fence versus a tree, or but parking lot design, yeah, I think there's a bunch of people up here that get really into that. Well, as long as somebody's looking it over versus, no offense, just staff. Yeah, it needs a second peer, yeah, the second group, the public body, like you said, so.
Okay.
I mean, it helps staff cover yourselves, you know? Yeah, it does.
Okay.
I think. It's a protection for you guys just as much as us. Okay. Keep going, sir. We're on slide, huh? Yeah, we're on slide 34 out of 40.
So this,
Oh.
yeah, this one here just provides some of that language
Oh,
to.
you added
codify.
slides. You need to make sure this is uploaded to the agenda packet.
Oh,
Yeah, this is different than what's in the agenda.
oh, was it different?
I got 40 slides. No, I'm not talking about your little computer. I'm talking about the people's public computer.
It still shows 46 online. I don't know why it's 33. They just didn't redo the numbering. Yeah.
Oh, that's what it was. That's what it's, the numbering.
Look
is
at
off.
page numbers.
We had to, yeah, there was, the big, there's a full version. This was kind of a pared down version to speed things up a little bit. Yeah.
All right, keep going, please.
Yeah. I believe this is actually the
I don't
last
really know
one.
what just
Okay,
happened.
yes, this is going to be the last one. This one's going to be the last one, and it has to do with the Board of Zoning adjustments. And that is that right now, staff has the administrative authority to grant building setbacks of no more than 10% or up to 10%, but no more than 1 foot. So it's pretty restrictive. And we don't necessarily have an issue with that one so much as, so the text in black is how it currently reads. The area that we're recommending a change is to make allowances regarding building setbacks to allow for up to a 5-foot encroachment, specifically for the replacement or repairing of existing residential structures in the city. And some of the example that the Board of Zoning Adjustment, and keep in mind, again, this is Board of Zoning Adjustments, so these are applications that don't come before you, but you have authority over the UDO, so any change has to be approved by this body. So we have lots of cases like this that we go through every year where we have older decks throughout the city that at the time that they were permitted, usually in the 80s, early 90s, they were not shown or reflected on the building permits that were issued at that time. Fast forward 20, 30, 40 years, they come in to pull a permit, they're doing the right thing. We ask them, okay, well, draw in your deck, because this original building permit drawing, didn't show it. They draw it in, and then we find that they're not meeting setbacks. They're encroaching in them, in some cases pretty severely, other cases not so much, but they might be more than that 1-foot administrative variance that staff can grant. So this is a fairly recent example, I believe, from this Bentry Circle. We get a lot of them in the Raintree area and Lakewood area. Usually that makes up the bulk of a lot of these deck cases. So with the language that's being proposed here, so I guess in this specific example, there was a 2-foot variance required. And we can only do a 1-foot variance. So we had to make him go through a public hearing in front of the planning, or in front of the Board of Zoning Adjustment, and pay $515 to go through that process just to gain 1 additional foot to our authority to let them rebuild a deck in the exact configuration that's existed there for 20, 30, 40 years. So with this language here, the language in red, we're looking to make some allowances for some of these historic structures that have been around seemingly with no negative impact on their neighbors, and give us a little more flexibility so that we could say, hey, yeah, we understand your deck is falling into disrepair. Rather than making them go through a public hearing, staff can approve it. So that's what that addition to that language is. For any other new building, including new construction, staff can still grant a variance, but not more than 1 foot. So, and we don't exercise that one all that often, to be honest. We usually exercise that one if there's some sort of unusual circumstance, like a irregularly shaped lot or something, where we see it's like, okay, we understand that your lot lines are a little bit weird here. They're a little bit longer on one side, so it creates an odd shape. So we see that the intent is being met by what you're doing, but technically you're a little bit short here. So that would still stay in effect, but the bulk of, or the the impetus for this one is more replacing existing structures that someone is trying to make whole.
Is this one a no-brainer, or? Okay, this one's a no-brainer.
All right. Well, with that, we have no, that is it.
No.
So I have nothing more at this point.
I understand what they're talking about. Now, I'm seeing all these slide numbers now, and I'm like, what the heck?
Oh, yeah. I think originally there were 65 slides or so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good job, good job. All right, what else, sir?
I have nothing. So I think we've got direction. So I guess we do need a motion to be made because these are UDO amendments that are being proposed to move forward.
I understand, but how do we make a motion on when we were making decisions? So, right. Go ahead, Ms. Albers.
Good evening, Tracy Albers, Development Services. I think based on the dialogue and the direction from council this evening, out of an abundance of caution, certainly we'd invite comment from the public this evening, but I think we'd request from the city council that the item be continued to a date certain, March 10th. That would provide staff, I think, with ample time to go back, revisit the ordinance, and revise as needed based on the direction that's been provided, also address the attachments, and probably give our city attorney's office.
That's all fine. We can continue the public hearing. That's fine, and then we can make these decisions, but I have to get through the public hearing.
Understood.
Okay. So you want us to, after we get through the rest of the public hearing, before I close the public hearing and read, you want me to ask someone to continue the public hearing?
Correct.
To a date not certain?
To date certain, March 10th.
March 10th, all right.
Please.
Thank you. Okay. Is the applicant done with your presentation?
Yes.
All right, then at this time, I'm going to ask, are there any other questions for the staff, for the applicant and the staff member? Councilmember Carlisle? Oh, was that earlier? Okay, thank you. No, thank you. All right, is there anyone that wishes to speak regarding this application from the public? Very good.
Debbie Giddings. I think I said this before. I had attended all of the CDC or watched it on video clear back to June on this process. And I've studied all the material that were in your packet besides these watered down slides. My first concern is that a lot of this was all going to apply to industrial and commercial. That really kind of gets lost in all of this. Everybody thinks about residential when it comes to the concept plan as far as square feet and elevations and materials, but that would be important for industrial and commercial. The PDP submittal on the lots for 3 or duplex, I'd be a little upset if I lived downtown and a commercial lot gets, I guess it would be rezoned, but still 3 little commercials could go in there without, I guess not commercial, it'd be residential, okay. But still, Hector said it applied to East Village, and I'm not sure how that applied to East Village. But anyway, getting on to the revisions, this is where I'll speak the most. The density of a residential increasing 10%. A planner could evaluate their plan and squeeze their lots together enough that they could get an extra house or 2 in that subdivision. And again, this applies to industrial and commercial, as far as my understanding, except for what you just approved for Part 2, number 2. Increasing the non-residential more than 25%. Say if I lived next to Price Chopper, which I don't, but if I did, I wouldn't be too happy that I had no way of knowing that they were going to be able to increase their square footage more than up to more than 25%. Same thing for lot coverage. The building height, Hector's example, I was very confused on that because he clearly showed that that was a 50% adjustment. It went from a 1-story to a 2-story. That's more than 25%. So I don't understand up to more than 25%. Okay, I'll just get to the quick. Lee Summit is allowing substantial changes, which are already the highest of comparable cities, to become an administrative review, and allows directors to actually decide if a revision is a minor change. There is concerns about consistency and the staff turnover and doing what has become the standard when you get new employees, where careful reviews, especially for density and building height, just kind of get glossed over. All but one of the recommendations, which is just eliminating the requirement, are to be decided by administration. As stated, this will remove the citizens' ability to know ahead of time what is happening in their neighborhood. I guess if you followed the website, still you wouldn't know because it would never be publicized anywhere. It's already hard enough to find out information about the city, unless you're a detective. And I think some of these things, be it for expediency or decreasing cost or speed to the developer, are good, but some are bad. And I hope that when you go back and review all the information, if not in your packet, you'll see what I'm talking about. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Zach Olszewicz. I'm a big fan of removing bureaucracy and red tape. I don't know if you guys remember my first speech I came in here. I had a ream of paper, 500 pages, and I said, you know, our ordinances are too restrictive. There are 3 full reams of the paper, 1,500. And later that day, we had the judges come in. They talked about not so much the ordinance, but how the courts were packed, and part of that is due to the ordinances. Most of these were victimless crimes, and so I urged you guys to reform the ordinances. And you've done it. You've come up here and you've reformed the ordinances, not for the people, not for the courts, but for the developers. And that's why I have to oppose this, because it seems like we're willing to do anything for the developers to make life easier for them. But when it comes to the people, we don't do that. So, you know, we're going to make ordinance reform for them, while we have restrictive yoke and ordinances on the people. We're going to give them $640 million in subsidies, why we keep increasing taxes, and put another one on the ballot in November. And so I think this just exemplifies the issues that I have with the city and the priorities I have with the city. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Anybody else? All right. Any additional questions from council? Mr. Soto, do you care to make any further comment? Before I close this public hearing, could I get a motion to continue this to date certain March 10th?
Mayor,
Councilmember Shields.
I move to continue the public hearing for application PL 2025-283 to a date certain of March 10th, 2026.
I have a motion to continue this to March 10th by Councilmember Shields, seconded by Councilmember Funk. Discussion? Seeing none, please cast your vote. All votes are in. Please record the vote. It gets pushed to March 10th. What's that? Okay. Yep. Okay, next we have public comments. We've got my script here. This is for time set aside on the agenda for citizens to address mayor and council on items on the agenda or items related to the operations of the city. Speakers will be restricted to 3 minutes. Minutes may not be transferred from one to another. Speakers need to speak to items on the agenda or the general operations of the city. It needs to be an orderly and fair discussion, no profanity or threats of violence, no attacks on private citizens. All right, we've got 3 or 4 speakers tonight. Mr. Olszewicz, you want to start us off?
I moved to Lee Summit in 2018 with my family, really for three reasons. Good schools, low crimes, and to get away from dense urban living. And in just 8 short years, all of those appeals have been eroded under the current leadership. You know, our schools, once consistently top-ranked in Missouri, have slipped dramatically. Property crimes are surging, and open land is vanishing under wave after wave of dense new developments. And it's turning our safe, family-friendly suburb into just another part of urban Jackson County, the very place people fled from to come here to. And I'm not alone in these frustrations. I hear them every day when door knocking. People are concerned about the new apartments everywhere, the unchecked growth, and the skyrocketing taxes. And the Lee Summit residents tell me they feel betrayed. And this is a direct result of decisions made by this city council and mayor. And some of you have tried to promote this leadership and your legacy as one of builders who are sparking growth in the community. But the truth is, your legacy is one of misaligned policies that undermine all the things that make Lee Summit special. Your economic strategy boosted the tax base on paper, but not enough to cover the demands of our new residents and their higher strain on the public services. So you've been jacking up the sales tax at our grocery stores and are now pushing yet another tax hike onto the November ballot. And you're doing this despite the fact that property taxes have surged in recent years, which should be increasing your budget substantially. The math doesn't add up. The strategy isn't working financially, and even worse, it's destroying the community's appeal. But rather than admit you've gone down the wrong path and adjust, you've doubled down, recruiting candidates to accelerate the same flawed strategy. You know, and many of you have been able to hide your role in this and have it go largely unnoticed because the council meetings are empty and local coverage of these meetings are virtually non-existent. But that time is over. As I promised when I first spoke here on November 4th, I'll be back every week, holding people accountable and informing residents through short 3-minute videos so that everybody in Lee Summit can be made aware of what's happening and who's responsible. And regardless of what happens with the election in April, I'm not going anywhere. And community sentiment over the Ignite plan and the decline it's caused isn't going anywhere. The residents see the impact of the strategy every time they drive through the town, and they feel the impact every day at the grocery store. So my recommendation to you guys is to reform the comprehensive plan, and this time include the residents. Regardless of what you tried to sell the community, they know they were not included in this process, and you know that the strategy doesn't align with what they expect from the city. So things won't get better until you guys take accountability, acknowledge we've gone down the wrong path, and readjust. And don't make promises about beginning the reform after the election or sometime down the road. You can and should start right now. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Giddings?
Debbie Giddings. The Land Clearance Authority meets tomorrow for a public hearing to approve a huge amount of money for tax-exempt 400 apartment buildings at the Paragon development at 470 and View High Drive. The Heartland Nursery across from 470 is closing after 54 years in business. I'm sure that the road construction that started in July last year, closing just recently, certainly contributed to their decision. It had to be economically impacted their business. It's hard to see a long-established business leave. Instead, the whole 470 corridor from Highway 50 to Blue Bridge that essentially had no other view of development will support the developer to build 400, who knows how stories, apartments. What a view that will be. But I guess that is the norm for Lee Summit now. The Planning Commission on Thursday will once again have Legacy Ridge trying to get approval for 178 townhomes of who knows how many stories. With more traffic signals and a gas station. The units also back right up to Ward Road, and that will also be an additional sight to behold when you once saw a cornfield. I guess no vacant land or field will be allowed to be underdeveloped in Lee Summit. And what about the 8-story John Knox housing? no info from the city on that, except for this Industrial Development Authority public hearing for a tax-exempt revenue bond of $53 million for 62 housing units. And if you dig any further on the city's website, citizens can find nothing about the 8-story buildings. The press knows, but nobody knows analysis from the city. Citizens can find that the Planning Commission will also review on the Thursday the land use and street master planning, which is, I think, what Zach was talking about. Where should the land be used and how? For the rezoning of ag and commercial at the Douglas and 470 area, there should be an easier path for citizens to find out what is happening with all the land in the community before the council, before the Planning Commission, before the city planning. I will vote for a candidate that accomplished to get it available to the citizens so they know what's going on. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Ms. Kaufman?
Again, I want to thank the City Council for everything that they do this evening. I've sat and watched people discern over issues and make very positive decisions. It's very difficult when you're on City Council to be faced with all these issues and be made aware of everything that's going on and make the decisions that you make. So thank you very much for doing the right thing for this community. This is a statement not about any of you, because I hold you in high regard and know that you're very ethical people. But this is something I've been concerned about in elections everywhere. Many in the silent majority are deeply concerned about the way elections are conducted today. Instead of concentrating on the issues that truly affect our communities, opposing sides too often resort to criticizing the character of our opponents. Debate should be an opportunity to present thoughtful positions, discuss solutions, and compare ideas. Unfortunately, they frequently become platforms for personal attacks rather than meaningful dialogue. As a society, we seem to have moved away from the principles of formal debate, where arguments are focused on the pros and cons of an issue, where claims are supported by clearly cited data, including the date of publication and the source. Respectful, fact-based discussion is essential to an informed elections and a healthy democracy. It is time to return to civil discourse, where ideas are challenged, evidence is presented, ideas are challenged, and voters are trusted to make decisions based on substance rather than personal criticism. But thank you again for everything you do.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Good?
Good evening. I wanted to thank all of you all for the last 8 years of controlled growth here in Lee Summit. The last councils, they created a great bedroom community, but that bedroom community is not afforded us the ability to have the amenities that we want because of the tax base. 8 years ago, it was 81-19. 19% was paid by the commercial developments. Most experts, all experts say it should be around 40 to 60%. I know we're now coming close to 30% because of some of the things that we've done in the last 8 years by bringing in development. I work with developers all the time. They didn't want to come to Lee Summit because we did not have the appetite to work with them. We wanted to build bedrooms. And without that commercial development, we cannot have the amenities that we all want, pay for the fire and safety that we all want in this community. Is that my 3 minutes?
No, I don't think so. Ms. Kaufman.
I was trying to slow down and talk,
Ms.
but wow,
Kaufman
that was
didn't-
quick.
Ms. Kaufman didn't use her full 3 minutes, so.
Okay, no problem. We didn't have any Class A office space. We had no smart warehousing. That commercial, that pays for the amenities that we all want. I just got a report from Overland Park on commercial properties or on tax basis per acre. Single-family residents, SFRs, on average in Overland Park make $140,000 taxable revenue. Big boxes such as as Walmart, $350,000. Dense multifamily, $1.5 million annually. That's what pays for the amenities. In that same report, it also talks about that you have to have a balance. You have a balanced community. Can't have all single-family residents. Can't have all multifamily. Can't have all commercial space. But at the end of the day, how do we pay for that? And if you turn it on its nose, where do we want to be in 10 years? What's that cost? What are the amenities we are looking for? And if we don't do the things right now, then we're going to be right back where we are today, where we have to raise bonds, where we have to pass no tax increase bonds, which puts the burden on residents. Let's take the tax burden off the residents and keep doing what we're doing with the controlled growth that we have. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, we'll take about a 12-minute recess. We'll be back about 8:20. We'll just go to 8:25. We'll be back at 8:25.
Ever wondered how the city budget works? The total 2026 budget is over $380 million, which includes funding for daily operations, capital improvements, debt service, internal service, and enterprise operations. For example, the general fund is the foundation for the city's day-to-day services and investments like road maintenance, public safety, and fire protection. The general fund is supported by property taxes, sales taxes generated by local businesses, franchise taxes, and other sources like licenses, permits, and fees. For every dollar citizens pay in property tax, the city receives 18 cents. This means the city receives $845 a year in property taxes for a median single-family house. These taxes provide public safety, park maintenance, infrastructure, and the best services to keep Lee Summit going and improving. One of the community's top priorities is infrastructure investment, which is reflected in the Capital Improvement Plan. $113 million of the 2026 budget is invested into the Capital Improvement Plan. The 2026 Capital Improvement budget includes investments like the 291 and 50 Highway Interchange, 3rd Street, Warden Purcell's intersection, and Pryor Road. The budget process includes guidance from the City Council, citizen input, and critical success factors from the city's Ignite strategic plan. To learn more about the city's budget, visit cityofls.net/budget.
When the person called on the phone, she said that there was a dinosaur walking down her road. Of course, we had to go out and check that out. We get out there and it was a big African tortoise, probably 60 pounds, walking down the road. When they walk, they really stand up tall, so I could see why she thought it was a dinosaur. I'm Rodney Wagner. I'm the manager of Lee Summit Animal Control. So as you can see, we get all sorts of animals here. You got some guinea pigs off to the side. All the windows up here are animals that are adoptable right now. Every one of these dogs is ready to go and ready for adoption. And the same thing with our cats over here. A lot of cool cats in here now, so this is our 3-acre lot we have out back. This is where we do all the walking of dogs, exercise. We also have a side yard off to the side over there, so we can let them run loose. They can run together, and we have what's called play groups. Kind of like having a bunch of kids. Here's our vet room. We have a vet that comes out twice a week. This is our Sally Port where we bring the animals into. This is one of our animal control trucks, and we can hold up to 6 animals. We have a lift on the other side to put big animals in. We actually have temperature gauges in here and in the truck to tell us how hot it is. Once it gets to a certain temperature, we bring all the animals back here immediately. So this actually has traps in it, but we do a lot of wildlife trapping. I mean a lot. So bats, potbelly pigs, horses, cows, emus, a lot of reptiles. We had a citizen one time that had over 200 reptiles in his basement. Caimans and alligators in here that are 4 or 5 feet long, you can't keep those. And people do, and they're surprised when they can't keep them. I'm like, really? You're surprised you can't have an alligator in your house? Our main goal here is public safety and also the safety of the animals. And we have very dedicated people back there, and they definitely stay here for the love of the animals, which also includes getting them adopted out. We'll have about 4,000 impounded animals a year. Probably about close to 2,000 are dogs and cats. The cats and dogs, when they get impounded here, they go on a 5-day hold. And then after the 5 days, if the owner doesn't show up, then we can put them up for adoption. To adopt an animal here is actually really simple. You just come in, look for whatever animal you're looking for, find the right pick. You go to the adoption room up there and see if you get along with them. You spend as much time as you want to in there. From that point on, it's just a matter of making sure they're spay or neutered and all their vaccinations up to par and they're good to go. We have a very high adoption rate because we try everything in our power to get animals adopted out. We have Heart of America Humane Society that we do a lot of adoptions through. And then we also have other groups. We have some people that literally will just look all over the country for somewhere for a dog to go. And we sent dogs up into South Dakota, North Dakota, Washington State. So it's actually, it's a huge united effort to get all these animals home.
Tarzan's got lots of energy. Hazel's got a weird meow. Bell, she wants nothing to do with the other cats. She'll kind of get her grumpy face going.
And the good thing about the people here is that they get all their friends to get animals too. All of us have probably the limit of all the animals that we can have at home. You know, they are huge animal lovers. If it was up to the people here, we'd have 15 cats running around in here. We had a citizen one time out there and he was bathing his 2 9-foot-long boa constrictors in the front yard. Apparently I was garnering some attention, and so we went out there and had to have a talk with him about that. Why do I do this job? Oh, dude, I love this job. I grew up on a farm, and taking care of that many animals, you can't help but like animals. This is just like fancy farming. You know, you're just bringing animals in here, taking care of them, and find them homes, and yeah, absolutely animal lover.
This is the best place to work.
I love working here.
I feel very blessed.
I love it here. I look forward to coming to work every day, being a part of this team.
Like a family away from home.
Where everyone feels like everybody knows their name.
A city that supports you. We see that with our benefits.
A pension, vacation days, job security.
Being able to be heard. We feel valued. We feel respected.
Lee Summit is a very progressive city.
It's growing, it's thriving.
We have this drive towards not just doing a job, but doing it with a spirit of excellence. I had the opportunity to continue to grow, regardless of 30 plus years doing this kind of work.
It's more than just dollars and cents.
We're here really to give back.
Providing a service to better a community.
To go out and serve people.
To be a part of something bigger than yourself. If I would have known what I know now, years ago, I would have been here much sooner.
Traditionally, we think as police officers, those responding to law enforcement needs within the community. But honestly, we are there to serve our citizens, and our citizens do go into crisis. They do have mental health crises, and we're being called to those scenes on a regular basis. In order to help serve those citizens better, we did initiate the Crisis Intervention Team Program. These are officers that are specially trained to de-escalate crisis situations. Recently, we've brought co-responders onto the scene, licensed qualified mental health professionals housed within our police department, and they respond with those officers directly to those scenes where a crisis is occurring so they can interact with that citizen and get them the help they need right there on that scene.
The co-responders are either a bachelor or master level in a behavioral health related field. They wear plain clothes, they don't carry weapons or anything like that.
I have a police radio that I listen to all day. Listen for, those key words: mental health, behavioral health, crisis.
There's a lot of officers that just call for me. I have my own radio number.
I also have the ability to self-dispatch to them and say 982 is en route.
Officers en route, 914, Armstrong.
So typically I arrive after they've made it safe. I'll make contact and get kind of the rundown, and then I just kind of jump right in.
Like, hey, my name's Allison. I'm a mental health professional. I'm here to help you. I'm not here to take you to jail or arrest you.
Sometimes all a person needs is a voice, someone neutral, someone outside that, can listen. I do a lot of safety planning, including family, their support network, who's close to you. If they're home alone, who can come over and hang out with you today? Can we lock away your sharps? Can we put up your meds? Do you need meds? Can we get you over to the urgent care to get you assessed for your medications? Some of them also are like, oh, I'm so glad you came. This made me feel so much better.
Our main goal as co-responders is to, one, get people connected to the services that they need, and also divert from emergency rooms and jails.
And they almost get a different view of the police responding. That lets me know you care and the officers care.
Please, how can we help you?
My husband has...
In 2020, we had 722 mental health related calls for service. 2022, by that time, 1,479. These mental health related calls for service are increasing. How we're responding to that is increasing the number of crisis intervention team officers we have available, as well as the number of co-responders we have available to respond on these calls.
So what I think is important for the community to know about the co-responder program is that we're here, we exist. All you have to do when you call 911 is ask for us. Say, hey, I want a co-responder to respond to this crisis, and we'll go. I was really struggling about 8 years ago on my personal journey with mental health, and I met some amazing social workers and amazing programs that have helped me get to where I am today. I really couldn't see myself doing anything else. We want to help, and that's what we love to do.
So I had a client, we got a call, she had some suicidal ideations, and she really felt that she had nobody. And and getting to know her story and getting to know who comes around and sees you, well, then we found a support person, and they responded immediately, and we made a plan. I called back and checked on her in an hour, and then I checked on her in 2 hours. We were able to get her into the additional services to where she talks to someone every week or more. I just took a person that really just thought they had nobody and nobody would show up for them, and show them you do. And you'll be amazed who is in your corner if you just simply say, I need a little help.
You can make the difference in somebody else's life.
If you're trying to get into the fire and EMS service, Lee Summit is probably the top name.
On a daily basis, we are tasked with an incredible task. So we're trying to keep it a relaxed environment.
As a new person, you are constantly on edge, learning.
The morning will look typical, coming in, getting a report from the shift that's going off. We get our truck checks done.
Our citizens trust us and believe in us by providing amenities like our gear, our stations.
They build it to accommodate getting to a call, but also having a home. State-of-the-art weight equipment.
Individual bunk rooms.
Downtime areas.
Breakfast and dinners together.
Cook together.
Get to know one another.
Train together.
Like a brother knows a brother and a sister knows a brother. Banter back and forth, but when the tones go off, they go to work.
We're here for 48 hours, so it can happen at any time. You can be in the gym. You can be in the middle of the night. You can be cooking.
Stop what you're doing and listen.
Wherever we are in the station,
people will stop what they're doing and listen, finding out which station it is.
What is the nature of the call?
EMS, fire.
What apparatus?
Where are we going?
Is it in my district?
To be on the highway.
Am I assisting somebody?
The expectations.
What gear do I need?
All the lives involved.
That adrenaline dump.
Adrenaline rush.
Pants on, coats on, getting in the truck. We're mentally focused,
Geared up.
paying attention to where we're going. Then we have a game plan that happens in the truck. The officer can give direction, and the dispatcher will update you. The officer will listen, the driver will listen. We get all on the same page, then when we get to the call, we can go to work. So many degrees of severity: structure fire, swift water rescue,
EMS,
car accident,
technical rescue,
TAC medic team. The equipment the fire department offers us is top-notch, from ring cutters to extrication equipment. State-of-the-art stuff, great trucks.
tablet, Lucas device, battery-powered pot.
The right tools, the right training. The learning does not stop in the academy.
Building blocks continue call after call. Opportunities to grow. Started out as a firefighter paramedic, moved to the rank of engineer paramedic, most recently the qualification of acting captain.
Firefighter, engineer, recently promoted to captain.
Promoted to paramedic since I've been here. I'll be honest, it's scary sometimes. You're the one back there. That person is having a bad day and they're counting on you.
We practice these scenarios over and over, so when someone has an emergency, we can channel those energies, minimizing any more injury. And then when it's over, we'll say, hey, how did we do? How is everyone doing? And we'll have frank conversations back at the station. The station assignment for us is a 48 on, 96 off.
The 4 days off is probably one of the greatest things ever.
Help us improve our sleep patterns, wellness, mental health. It gives you many.
Bringing this meeting back to order. We are on agenda item 7A. These are proposed ordinances forwarded from committee. Councilmember Shields, would you please start us off with bill number 26-028?
Thank you, Mayor. I move for second reading of Bill number 26-028, an ordinance approving the award of bid number 889 for the traffic calming project on Northwest Lake Drive to Quality Custom Concepts, Inc., DBA Quality Custom Construction, in the amount of $99,683, and authorizing city manager to execute an agreement for the same.
Thank you. A motion to move to second reading, bill number 26-028 by Councilmember Shields, seconded by Councilmember Funk. Discussion? Seeing none, please cast your vote. All votes are in. Please record the vote. Passes 8-0. Thank you. Councilmember Shields, would you please read for adoption?
Thank you. I now move for adoption of Bill number 26-028, an ordinance approving the award of bid number 889 for the traffic calming project on Northwest Lake Drive to Quality Custom Concepts, Inc., DBA Quality Custom Construction, in the amount of $99,683, and authorizing city manager to execute an agreement for the same.
Thank you. A motion to adopt bill number 26-028 by Councilmember Shields, seconded by Councilmember Carlisle. Discussion? Please cast your vote. All votes are in. Please record the vote. Passes 8-0. It's adopted. Thank you. Councilmember Lovell, would you please read bill number 26-029?
I move to advance the second reading bill number 26-029, an ordinance approving the award of RFQ number 2024-064, an agreement for professional engineering services for the preliminary design of pump stations to HDR Engineering Incorporated in the amount of $950,770 and authorizing the city manager to execute an agreement for the same.
Thank you. Motion 2, move to second reading, Bill number 26-029 by Councilmember Lovell, seconded by Councilmember Shields. Discussion? Seeing none, please cast your vote. All votes are in. Please record the vote. Passes 8-0. Councilmember Lovell, would you please?
I move for adoption Bill number 26-029, an ordinance approving the award of RFQ number 2024-064 and an agreement for professional engineering services for the preliminary design of pump stations to HDR Engineering Incorporated in the amount of $950,770 and authorizing the city manager to execute an agreement for the same.
Thank you. We have a motion to adopt Bill number 26-029 by Councilmember Lovell, seconded by Councilmember Funk. Discussion? Please cast your vote. All votes are in. Please record the vote. That bill is adopted unanimously. Thank you. Councilmember Shields, would you please read Bill number 26-030?
Thank you. I move for second reading of Bill number 26-030, an ordinance approving the award of RFQ number 2026-014, an agreement for professional engineering services for the Cedar Creek Interceptor Phase 4 improvements project to Burns McDonnell Engineering Company, Inc. in the amount of $305,753 and authorizing the city manager to execute the same.
Thank you. We have a motion to move to second reading of Bill number 26-030 by Councilmember Shields, seconded by Councilmember Funk. Discussion? Seeing none, please cast your vote. All votes are in. Please record the vote. It moves to second reading unanimously. Councilmember Shields, would you please?
Thank you. I now move for adoption of Bill number 26-030, an ordinance approving the award of RFQ number 2026-014, an agreement for professional engineering services for Cedar Creek Interceptor Phase 4 improvements project to Burns McDonnell Engineering Company, Inc. in the amount of $305,753 and authorizing the city manager to execute the same.
Thank you. We have a motion to adopt Bill number 26-030 by Councilmember Shields, seconded by Councilmember Carlisle. Discussion? Please cast your vote. All votes are in. Please record the vote. That bill is adopted unanimously. Thank you. Councilmember Rader, would you please read Bill number 26-031?
Thank you. I move to second reading Bill number 26-031, an ordinance approving modification number 3 to an agreement for professional engineering services for the Olive and Orchard Street and Storm Sewer Improvement, Douglas Street to Chipman, RFQ number 2022-060 between the City of Lee Summit, Missouri and Kimley-Horn for an increase of $85,460 with an amended amount of $1,071,893.50 and authorizing the city manager to execute an agreement for the same.
Thank you. We have a motion to move to second reading Bill number 26-031 by Councilmember Rader, seconded by Councilmember Shields. Discussion? Seeing none, please cast your vote. All votes are in. Please record the vote. Moves to second reading unanimously. Councilmember Rader, would you please?
Thank you. I move to for adoption Bill number 26-031, an ordinance approving modification number 3 to an agreement for professional engineering service for the Olive and Orchard Street and Storm Sewer Improvements, Douglas Street to Chipman Road, RFQ number 2022-060 between the City of Lee Summit, Missouri and the Kimley-Horn for an increase of $85,460 with an amended amount of $1,071,893.50 and authorizing the city manager to execute an agreement for the same.
Thank you. We have a motion to adopt Bill number 26-031 by Councilmember Rader, seconded by Councilmember Shields. Discussion? Please cast your vote. All votes are in. Please record the vote. That bill is adopted unanimously. Thank you. Councilmember Shields, would you please read Bill number 26-032?
Thank you. I move for second reading of Bill number 26-032, an ordinance approving a transportation alternatives program supplemental agreement between the City of Lee Summit, Missouri and the Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission related to the public improvement project designated as federal project number TAP 3001-006, complete street improvements, Douglas Street, Chipman Road to 2nd Street within the city limits of Lee Summit, Missouri, and authorizing the mayor to execute the same.
Thank you. We have a motion to move to second reading Bill number 26-032 by Councilmember Shields, seconded by Councilmember Carlisle. Discussion? Seeing none, please cast your vote. All votes are in. Please record the vote. Goes to second reading unanimously. Councilmember Shields, would you please?
Thank you. I now move for adoption of Bill number 26-032, an ordinance approving a transportation alternatives program supplemental agreement between the City of Lee Summit, Missouri and the Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission related to the public improvement project designated as federal project number TAP-3001-006, complete street improvements, Douglas Street, Chipman Road to 2nd Street within the city limits of Lee Summit, Missouri, and authorizing the mayor to execute the same.
Thank you. We have a motion to adopt Bill number 26-032 by Councilmember Shields, seconded by Councilmember Carlisle. Discussion? Please cast your vote. All votes are in. Please record the vote. It's adopted unanimously. Thank you. That takes us to proposed ordinances first reading. Councilmember Pryor, would you please read Bill number 26-033?
Happily. I move to advance to a second reading, Bill number 26-033, an ordinance amending Chapter 5, Animals, by repealing Section 5 through 200 in its entirety and enacting in lieu thereof a Section 5 through 200 number and type of chickens allowed to the Code of Ordinances to the City of Lee Summit, Missouri.
All right, thank you. We have a motion to move to second reading, Bill number 26-033 by Councilmember Pryor, seconded by Councilmember Funk. Discussion? Yes, Councilmember Carlisle.
Thank you, Mayor. I am in favor of this tonight. I just wanted to say that I think we should still talk about ducks. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Pryor.
Thank you. I would like to echo that. I do not see any reason that we should not be talking about ducks. I think that enough people in our city have voiced their opinion and want us to talk about ducks, so I really wish that we could. But when we do talk about ducks, I really hope that the person that is presenting information is somebody that knows information on ducks and not just making stuff up. So, like actual information. So thank you.
All right. Thank you. Councilmember Shields.
I'm happy to support this as well, and I look forward to meeting Councilmember Pryor's new chickens.
Yeah. All right, thank you. All right. Good discussion. Would you go ahead and please cast your vote? All votes are in. Please record the vote. Passes 8-0. Goes to second reading. Thank you. Councilmember Funk, would you please read Bill number 26-034?
Thank you, Mayor. I advance to second reading Bill number 26-034, an ordinance approving an intergovernmental use agreement between the City of Lee Summit, Missouri and the Lee Summit R7 School District for the use of Green Street.
Thank you. We have a motion to move to second reading, Bill number 26-034 by Councilmember Funk, seconded by Councilmember Carlisle. Discussion? Yes, Councilmember Lovell.
Yeah, I just had a question. When I was going through this. So it mentioned rates. So is this agreement charging the Lee Summit R7 School District for the use of Green Street, or allowing them to use it and rent it out?
So it is just an agreement for the school district to use it, and any rates or anything like that. So it's not for them to be able to rent the facility out. It really kind of depends on what the event is that they're holding. If it's an educational public event, that's a partner event that we would partner with. But if it's let's say something for, the educational foundation or something that's looking to be a fundraiser or something like that, that's private and closed off, that would be something that we would have them pay to rent the facility for. So it's kind of use specific on what the event is. If it's a public event like that, then we're partnering on that. But it's not a situation where they would be able to then sublease or subrent the space out.
So then it's whose discretion to determine if we're charging them or not?
That'll be the facilities and events manager based off of the event.
And is it, I was going through it. Is it pretty detailed, or like how do they know what to charge for or not charge for?
Yeah, we have kind of guidelines that we look at, and essentially if it's not a free public event, it'll be charged for at the nonprofit rate. So on the Green Street website, there's hourly rate schedules associated with that for both peak and non-peak times, as well as both for for-profit entities and nonprofit entities. So if it's not a free public event, it'll essentially be charged at that nonprofit rate.
And then what about our other community partners? Are there others that we have similar arrangements with?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Same.
All right. Great.
Yep.
Thanks.
Same.
Thank you. Councilmember Pryor.
Thank you. So I just wanted to see, just as an example, if I wanted to have a struggling readers meeting and I arranged it through the school district and members of the school district showed up at that meeting, could it be free at Green Street? Is that like an example? Do I need to talk to you about this later?
Yes, you need to talk to me about that later because I'm not.
Because I'm ready to do another struggling readers meeting. Okay, thank you.
Just to give an example, if they're going to host a prom at the event, that's something that would be charged at the nonprofit rate.
Makes sense. Okay. Councilmember Pryor, good? Yeah. Okay, thank you. Yeah. Okay. All right. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please cast your vote. All votes are in. Please record the vote. Passes, or it moves to second reading unanimously. Thank you. That takes us to committee reports. Councilmember Shields.
Thank you, Mayor. Got a few quick ones to mention tonight. I attended the LSEDC quarterly luncheon earlier this week. I think I saw a few of you there as well. Had a really great panel discussion, including our very own Tracy Albers, who spoke very eloquently about development. And it actually was one of the better panel discussions I've ever seen. Like, I feel like I actually came away having really learned things from it, which I can't always say. So it was a real pleasure. And then I attended Downtown Main Street's board meeting today. I heard some updates from them, including they're planning Shamrock the Block coming up, and they're looking for volunteers for that. So if anyone's interested in getting involved. And they were discussing painting their buildings. So be very excited to see what color they choose. They have not decided yet. And then last Monday, March 2nd, we will have Finance and Budget Committee, 4 p.m. in Chambers. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other committee reports? Council comments? Councilmember Petra?
Thank you. Okay, the first thing I wanted to say is Daryl Forte the other day posted a really great compliment about somebody from our animal control, and his name's E. Warren, but he just talked about how, like, if an animal dies, then he will take paw prints and nose prints and take it back to the family as, like, memorabilia. And so I just thought that was really sweet. So I just wanted to mention that. But also, I was wondering why, okay, so initially when we talked about it at CEDC, yeah, I'm looking at you, Ryan, I think you know, but, so initially when we talked about it at CEDC, we kind of wanted to see what Kansas City was doing. And now I feel like we're not, as far as Kratom and 70H is concerned. And now I feel like it's being put off even longer because we want to see what other cities are doing. I don't think that that's fair to anyone that's pushing for this in our city and other cities. Why are we putting it off?
I apologize, but I don't believe we're putting it off. I sent a pretty detailed email out today with where Kansas City, Missouri, Blue Springs, and Independence are all out, as well as several of our other, Grandview, Belton, and Raymore associated with that. And at our CDC discussion, there was discussion about coming back a few months later with an ordinance associated with that. So I apologize if we misinterpreted that, but.
I thought we were just going to wait until we were going to see what Kansas City did, and then we were going to draft up our ordinance after what we saw, where Kansas City landed. So I feel like Kansas City's voted, they've landed on where they're landing. Why can't we just?
Kansas City also has a 60-day implementation period and a 45-day period for developing a new licensing program. So we've had several conversations today, about drafting an ordinance up and bringing that forward. However, that there's still work that needs to be done on that, specifically with our law department and our prosecutor's office.
But why do we want to wait and see what other cities are doing? Like, why can't we take the lead before Blue Springs or Independence or anything? Like, why do we want to wait till after March 2nd to see what the other cities are doing? That's what I just personally want to just vote on it, get it done, but can we not do that?
If the council as a whole would like to direct us to bring forward an ordinance, then that's something that the council as a whole can do. However, the direction from the committee, my understanding from the direction of the committee was take a couple of months, and I'm looking at Councilmember Carlisle, and do it kind of through this way, through the committee process. So if that would need to be direction from the council as a whole.
So does it need to go back to CEDC then and discuss it now that Kansas City has?
I'll chime in on process, right? I understand, we're interested in this. It's at the committee level right now. There was direction given by the committee. I think that's what Mr. Elam is trying to complete. And then my assumption would be it would go back to committee to look at any proposed ordinance, and then it would come forward to the council as a whole. I understand you would like to expedite that, but we take direction from either one, the committee, or the body as a whole. That's what Ryan is suggesting there. So right now, our mission is to do this homework, to develop proposed ordinance and take it back to CEDC at this time. Not bring forward an ordinance in an emergency type situation to the mayor and the council to have that discussion here. But that can change based on the desires of this body.
Okay, I guess I left the CEDC meeting thinking differently. I don't know.
I think we kind of.
Councilmember Pryor, do you want to give Councilmember Funk the
Yes,
floor?
please. Yes,
All right.
please.
Councilmember Funk.
So I knew we were coming back to the committee, but I thought our purpose was we were waiting to kind of see where Kansas City landed on licensing and different things like that. I think where Councilmember Pryor's going is we're seeing this escalate. We're seeing it move a lot faster than what we anticipated throughout some of these stores around our community. And I would be for maybe if the council wanted to take up a quick discussion and see if we could expedite an ordinance sooner than later.
When you say that, why can't CEDC expedite it with another meeting? Like, why does it, like, I like to see things go through committee so that it's done right, like we're talking about, and we're not just doing it from the dais, but can CEDC do another, just do an extra meeting, a Zoom meeting or something? Mr. Elam? I don't think staff is ready. That's the thing is, you need time to prepare.
So as I said, we've been having conversations back and forth on this, and we would request at least a week to be able to get one. We'll have direction with what Independence and Blue Springs they're heading. They're having their meetings on March 2nd, as well as allow us to draft the ordinance from KCMO. We've got to make some significant changes to that in order to have it fit our regulatory environment as well. But we would be ready in a week.
Okay. Oh, you're gonna be gone? Oh. Oh, the next CDC meeting's on the 11th? What is today?
24th.
Okay. I have to defer to CDC. When do you want to wait till the 11th and give staff time to get on this, or do you, and try to do it right, or do you want to try to do something in between? Because Mr. Elam's offering to speed it up as fast as they can, but you're probably at risk of maybe not being ready if you meet too soon. That's the only thing.
So I'm good with whatever. I've just been trying to bring this up since last spring. So I just don't want to, this has been something that I've truly wanted to do since last spring. So I just don't want it to get overlooked or not done, because I think it's super important.
Yeah,
so,
I think there's plenty of support up here, yes, for moving this forward as expeditiously as we can. However, it's good to take it through committee and respect, the committee work. I just think that, just so y'all know, we could end up, because there's going to be a council transition and mayor transition, we could end up with an extra meeting, just so you know, Zoom meeting with council. I'm sorry, but it'd be just to get finalized, things so that we're not handing it off at midstream to a new council and such. So that could happen with us as well. And so I think CDC, if they want to take that on, they could. But I think March 11th is going to come really fast. You can be ready for March 11th? Okay.
Yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
If you're good with that. But
I'm good with that. Yeah, I just, ideally, I just want it wrapped up before a new council, just so we can get it, because I think we owe that to so many people in our community.
Yeah, I understand. I think there's a few things that we just need to finish, really, if we can, and if not, we have to trust the next council. But I think this is something that sounds like enough homework's been done that we can move forward. But it sounds like there's risk of putting an ordinance place and then the vendors change their products, and then we have to adjust to that. So we could be chasing them.
Yeah.
Okay, which is we want to try to not have to do that if we don't have to, if we can build it right. So, all right, thank you, sir.
Yep.
Councilmember Pryor, you good with the direction we're going? March 11th, and this council is kind of on notice that you would like to see this get done with this council.
Yes, yes,
Okay.
perfect, thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Lovell?
Thank you, Mayor. I think I was driving down 291 and I was reminded of a CID we issued for a shopping center over there, and you can see some of the work being done. And I don't know, maybe this is like a staff question, but I thought of a couple of other CIDs. And my question or my thought is, like, can we get, so the things I saw being done on the facade and like the signage made me question, like, are they doing everything that was presented to us? And just maybe a good reminder of like how we measure what they're doing for the repayment through the CID, and are they doing the things that were required? So the one I'm thinking of is it Bayberry?
Bayberry.
Yeah, Bayberry. And then it reminded me also, so I'll just piggyback off that before you answer, was the one with that we did. It was like early on my council, and it was it's where the Andy's is further down on 291 with like the Chuck's Chicken or something like that. Now that one was different, and certainly it wasn't actually one that I supported because it was more for like deferred maintenance things. And so like I know they got a CID, and it's hard for us to know. I can look out and see that there's facade change to know that there's been changes. So like, can we get an update on what they've done, verifying that those, that deferred maintenance was done on that one, and that, the repayment is maybe just an update on those, and is this newer one like on track doing what they're supposed to do? Because like some of the signage looks like old signage to me, and again, anyway.
Yep. So we do, of course, they come through the incentive side, right? And many times they'll bring the facade and things like that, which will trigger permits. Much of that work will trigger permits. So we have an approved set of plans. We do the inspections, and then yes, on the back side of all that, then they have to submit, and we have to approve reimbursements for those to occur. So there's a whole process behind the scenes that takes place, but we can absolutely look into those. I'm not so sure the one at Vala Vista has actually proceeded with work, even though it was approved. We'll check into that. We can give you a report on that.
So we're collecting the money though, right?
It's done through, so through CIDs, it's done through the state Department of Revenue, and then it flows to the city, and then we hold it and we administer it.
Gotcha. So we could, in theory, on Val Vista, have been collecting that money and not dispersed any of it?
That could be the case, yeah.
And, I mean, is there a timeline on how long they have to, like, collect reimbursement for any of the deferred maintenance or any improvements that were done?
Well, the CID has a certain timeline associated with it. Now, what I don't know is if we started collecting, well, let me back up a little bit. One, I don't know if that one's been fully implemented and the CID board put in place and truly implemented. I'd need to check on that.
Okay.
Maybe Ryan.
So maybe a couple
knows on
updates, that'd be great, yeah. Mr. Elam?
Yeah, I was just going to say that we do have a number of CIDs throughout the community. Most of them are administered in the same way. Some of them actually are administered straight through the CID board, where the ACHs from the Department of Revenue go straight to the CID and not through the city. That's more of a rare case. Valley Vista, I think, may be one of those associated with that. So we can look into that and provide an update on that.
So do we have...
I know for Bayberry Crossing, that's a different one. That is administered through the city.
So who makes, okay, so let's just take the Valley Vista one. If that's going through the board, if I remember how these, like, there's a city member. Is it kind of like TDDs and some of the other ones? Like,
depending on when those were created, we've gotten into the tradition of having a member of the city, an employee, on each one of those boards, but there are some that do not have any.
So then when the CID board is managed by not us, who's approving those expenses and payment, and is there any checks and balances on our end to make sure that they're valid? Because I think I just understood that you could create a CID board that doesn't have anybody on the city. The money flows into it. That developer would submit receipts for the work they were doing, and then it would be reimbursed is there a check and balance to verify what the CID board is approving?
So there are requirements to be members on the CID board that are laid out in the petition of that, and then they have to pass an annual budget associated with each CID, and then the CID is required to report that budget annually to the city, so where we're able to make comment on that budget. They also have to provide that budget to the state auditor's office associated with that. And then there is generally a cost certification process associated with that, tied more towards the cooperative agreement, the CID cooperative agreements that we have in place.
Okay. So I think I'd like a report if that's possible. And it might be for further discussion is like, I'm not sure I would ever want a CID to be managed that way versus us control it and have receipts sent to us. But just something to keep in mind. So if I could, maybe before I'm off this dais, get a report on this, an update. Thank you.
Just one, Mayor, if I may follow up. Are you looking for, I mean, we have a number of those. Are you?
I'm just, those two in particular.
Okay.
And then if that made council want to look further into other ones to see how they're going and, verifying stuff, great. But those are the two that I'm most interested in.
Okay, thank you. That would take us to staff roundtable. Mr. Denning, you want to clarify anything for us tonight?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I thought a few things that I could help clarify with regard to some meetings and things that were mentioned. So with regard to LCRA, they are holding a meeting on sales tax exemption for the Paragon Star project. That was an LCRA project that was approved years ago, but as you may remember, we had a new developer step in, and so these are necessary steps being taken to modify the developer and the agreement for the new developer to carry out that plan. So that's one. The John Knox Village bonds, that's the IDA. The IDA operates independently of the city. That's the John Knox Village 353 plan that's currently in place. So that's just implementing that 353 plan. So that's not a new project, I would say. Now, the new project that was mentioned, John Knox Village, is one that the city has no information. There's no application on file, but we understand John Knox has put together a concept plan and is sharing that with their residents and members of the public, but the city does not have an active application. So there's a reason that one's not moving anywhere. We're waiting to find out what those details entail. And then I guess the last one, Legacy Bridge, yes, it is coming back. If you may recall, that was remanded back to Planning Commission to revise it, and that's typically what would happen. They will revise that plan, and it would come back forward to the mayor and the council, given where that's at in the process. So I thought I'd just kind of provide some clarification around those points. And then wrapping up, just for awareness, there's a public meeting tomorrow evening, Wednesday, here in the chambers for the Olive and Orchard improvements. So that's a come and go public information meeting that is afforded for that project. I know that Ms. Weber sent out some information to you. The Charter Review Commission is doing their work on, and we'll put this out through all of our engagement platforms, but on March 16th, at Green Street, the Charter Review Commission will hold a listening session, so members of the public are welcome to come and learn a little bit about what their mission is, ask questions, offer comments and thoughts in that type of setting. So more information to come, but that'll be on March 16th. And then lastly, I would just, thanks to many of you who made that trip to Jeff City last week for the MML legislative trip. I thought it was a great time with our state legislators, helping them understand what our priorities are here in Lee Summit and how we can work together in partnership with many of the challenges that we have. I know a lot of the infrastructure, especially the highways running through town, we're looking for partnerships so they can help us continue to maintain quality infrastructure and a safe environment here in Lee Summit. So thank you all that were able to make that trip. That's it, Mayor. Thank you.
Yeah. Yes, the trip I guess we haven't had a meeting since then, have we?
Nope.
Okay, so just a quick summary, very brief summary, would be great meetings with our senators and representatives. Still building great relationships and still have great relationships, and they're willing to fight for us. All of them are. So we're really fortunate. They were just very blunt that there's nothing but budget cuts this year, and there's not going to be, any type of funds available for the cities. We still showed them what we were working on: big expenses, medium expenses, and smaller bite-sized expenses. But they just were very clear with us that they did not see, any type of state funding available at year end like there has been the last few years. And we were fortunate. These lobbyists have done a great job, and they just fostered the relationships in a really positive way, and they got us in front of the Director of Economic Development, and that was another really positive meeting. We got, about an hour with her. That was pretty nice. So we got to talk economic development with the director at the state level. So very good meetings. Thank you all to the council members that went and helped, tell our story to them and let them know what we, that we supported them, but we appreciate their support too. So, all right. Anything else? All right. With that, we will adjourn this meeting at 9:01.